दोस्तों दुनिया में यूं तो अमीरों की कमी नहीं है, लेकिन बहुत ही कम लोग हैं जो कि खुद के दम पर कामयाबी के बुलंदियों को छू पाते हैं। और दोस्तों उन्हीं में से एक हैं वॉरेन बफे, जिनका नाम आप में से ज्यादातर लोगों ने तो सुना ही होगा। दरअसल वॉरेन बफे को दुनिया का सबसे महान इन्वेस्टर कहा जाता है और अपने गजब की समझ की वजह से वह फिलहाल दुनिया के तीसरे सबसे धनी व्यक्ति हैं। हालांकि एक सामान्य कदकाठी और शांत स्वभाव रखने वाले इस व्यक्ति को देखकर कहीं से भी यह नहीं लगता है कि वह दुनिया के सबसे धनी लोगों में गिने जाते होंगे, लेकिन यही बात ही तो है जो कि उन्हें औरों से अलग बनाती है। दरअसल 30 अगस्त 1930 को अमेरिका में जन्मे वॉरेन बफे के अंदर बचपन से ही इन्वेस्टमेंट का शौक पैदा हो गया था और पैसे इन्वेस्ट करने के लिए उन्होंने न्यूज़पेपर बांटने और दूसरों के गाड़ी साफ करने जैसे भी काम किए हैं। और दोस्तों जिस न्यूज़पेपर को वह बांटा करते थे उसका नाम था दी वॉशिंगटन पोस्ट। और फिर बांटे गए पेपर से पैसे कमाकर उन्होंने उसी कंपनी के ही शेयर को खरीद लिया था और आज भी वह इस न्यूज़पेपर के सबसे बड़े शेयर होल्डर हैं। तो दोस्तों आज के इस वीडियो में भी हम शेयर बाजार के जादूगर कहे जाने वाले वॉरेन बफे के कुछ ऐसे ही इंटरेस्टिंग फैक्ट्स के बारे में जानेंगे जिससे कि आप भी इंस्पायर हो सकते हैं। लेकिन दोस्तों महान इन्वेस्टर वॉरेन बफे के फैक्ट्स के बारे में हम जाने उससे पहले इस वीडियो के स्पॉन्सर्ड के बारे में बात कर लेते हैं, जो कि है इजी प्लान। इजी प्लान बेसिकली एक ऐसा मोबाइल ऐप है जिसके जरिए आप बैंक के तुलना में बेहतर तरीके से पैसे बचा सकते हैं और इस ऐप के जरिए इन्वेस्ट करने पर आपको साधारण बैंक अकाउंट से 2 गुना तक रिटर्न मिल सकता है। बच्चों की पढ़ाई हो, बेटी की शादी, कार खरीदना हो या फिर घर, हर तरह के गोल सेट करके आप इस ऐप के जरिए अपने पैसों को इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं। और इस ऐप में पैसे इन्वेस्ट करने पर आपका पैसा एक लो रिस्क ICICI पोटेंशियल लिक्विड फंड में इन्वेस्ट होता है और पिछले 13 सालों में यहाँ पर अगर किसी ने 1 हफ्ते तक भी पैसा छोड़ा है तो उसे कभी भी लॉस नहीं हुआ। और दोस्तों बैंक में FD करने के बाद तो हम एक स्पेसिफिक टाइम तक पैसे नहीं निकाल पाते हैं, लेकिन इस ऐप के जरिए हम पैसों को किसी भी टाइम इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं और निकाल भी सकते हैं। और दोस्तों इजी प्लान में आप 100 रुपए से शुरुआत करने के बाद अपनी सुविधा के अनुसार 1 रुपए भी इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं। तो दोस्तों अगर आप इन्वेस्टमेंट स्टार्ट करना चाहते हैं तो फिर डिस्क्रिप्शन में दिए गए लिंक से इजी प्लान ऐप को तुरंत डाउनलोड करिए। लेकिन फिलहाल चलिए हम बात करते हैं वॉरेन बफे के फैक्ट्स के बारे में। फैक्ट नंबर 1, अगर मैं आपसे कहूं कि वॉरेन बफे ने सिर्फ 11 साल की उम्र में ही अपना पहला स्टॉक खरीद लिया था तो क्या आप विश्वास करेंगे? शायद नहीं, क्योंकि 11 साल के बच्चे स्टॉक जैसी चीजें खरीदना तो दूर समझ भी नहीं पाते हैं। लेकिन वॉरेन बफे के मामले में यह बिल्कुल सही है। जब वॉरेन बफे के उम्र के बच्चे कॉमिक बुक्स पढ़ने और खेलने में व्यस्त रहते थे तब वॉरेन बफे ने स्टॉक खरीदना शुरू कर दिया था। दरअसल 1942 की गर्मियों में करीब 11 साल के वॉरेन बफे ने सिटीज सर्विस प्रेफर्ड के शेयर को $38 प्रति शेयर की दर से खरीदा था। फैक्ट नंबर 2, वॉरेन बफे जब 16 साल के थे तब तक वह $53,000 इकट्ठे कर चुके थे और यह पैसे आज के नहीं हैं, बल्कि कई दशक पहले तक इसकी वैल्यू कहीं ज्यादा थी। दरअसल वह किसी भी काम को छोटा या फिर बड़ा नहीं समझते थे, जहाँ से भी उन्हें फायदा होता वह वहाँ काम करने लगते थे। और दोस्तों पैसे कमाना ही बड़ी चीज नहीं होती, बल्कि पैसे से पैसे को बढ़ाना भी वह अपने जादुई इन्वेस्टमेंट के माध्यम से जानते थे। फैक्ट नंबर 3, दोस्तों हर किसी का सपना होता है कि वह हार्वर्ड बिजनेस स्कूल में पढ़ाई करे और ठीक वॉरेन बफे भी ऐसा ही चाहते थे और उन्होंने इस स्कूल में पढ़ाई के लिए अप्लाई भी किया था, लेकिन इंटरव्यू के दौरान उन्हें अंत में रिजेक्ट कर दिया गया। हालांकि इस बात से निराश ना होकर उन्होंने कोलंबिया बिजनेस स्कूल से एडमिशन ले लिया, क्योंकि बेंजामिन ग्राहम जो कि उनके आइडल थे वह भी वहां पर पढ़ाया करते थे। और दोस्तों हार्वर्ड स्कूल से रिजेक्ट होना ही उनके लिए आगे चलकर बहुत ही ज्यादा फायदेमंद साबित हुआ, क्योंकि कोलंबिया बिजनेस स्कूल से उन्होंने इन्वेस्टमेंट से जुड़ी हुई बहुत सारी बातें सीखी और इसीलिए तो कहा जाता है कि भगवान जो भी करते हैं वो अच्छे के लिए करते हैं। फैक्ट नंबर 4, दोस्तों आज के समय में अगर किसी के पास थोड़ा सा पैसा आ जाता है तो लोग उसे बेवजह खर्च करना शुरू कर देते हैं, लेकिन वॉरेन बफे एक साधारण जीवन जीने में विश्वास रखते हैं। अब आप ही बताइए कि वॉरेन बफे दुनिया में ऐसा क्या चीज है जिसे कि खरीद नहीं सकते, लेकिन इसके बावजूद वह 1958 में खरीदे गए अपने छोटे से घर में आज भी रहते हैं और इस घर को उस टाइम उन्होंने $31,500 की कीमत पर खरीदा था। फैक्ट नंबर 5, दोस्तों ये फैक्ट शायद आपको हैरान कर दे, क्योंकि क्या आप जानते हैं कि वॉरेन बफे ने अपनी 94% वेल्थ 60 साल के होने के बाद कमाई है। यूँ तो वह कभी भी ज्यादा असफल नहीं रहे, लेकिन 52 साल तक के उम्र में उनकी वेल्थ 376 करोड़ डॉलर्स के आसपास थी। लेकिन वही अब बढ़कर 2019 में 8,270 करोड़ यूएसडी के पार पहुंच चुकी है। फैक्ट नंबर 6। दोस्तों, वॉरेन बफे का कहना है कि वह अपने दिन का ज्यादातर समय सिर्फ पढ़ने में ही निकाल देते हैं, क्योंकि उनका मानना है कि नॉलेज ही हर चीज का सोल्यूशन है और यह कंपाउंड इंटरेस्ट की तरह ही बढ़ती रहती है। तो दोस्तों, इसीलिए आप भी जितना ही ज्यादा ज्ञान अर्जित कर सकते हैं वो कर लें, फिर वो चाहे कहीं से आए। तो दोस्तों, यह थे वॉरेन बफे से जुड़े हुए कुछ इंटरेस्टिंग फैक्ट्स। अगर आप वॉरेन बफे की और भी बातों को जानना चाहते हैं तो मुझे नीचे कमेंट बॉक्स में जरूर बताइएगा। अगर आपके ज्यादा कमेंट्स आए तो मैं इस वीडियो का पार्ट 2 भी लेकर आऊंगा। आपका बहुमूल्य समय देने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
शेयर बाजार के जादूगर, दुनिया के सबसे सफल इन्वेस्टर्स में से एक वॉरेन बफे एक बेहद सिंपल लाइफ जीने वाले मल्टी बिलियनियर हैं। वे जब सिर्फ 15 साल के थे तभी से उन्होंने अखबार बांटकर मिलने वाले पैसों को निवेश करना शुरू कर दिया था और कॉलेज पूरा होने से पहले $90,000 कमा लिए थे। आइए आज मेरे यानी गोपाल मिश्रा के साथ हम उनके बेस्ट इंस्पायरिंग थॉट्स जानते हैं। नियम नंबर 1, कभी पैसा मत गंवाइए। नियम नंबर 2, कभी नियम नंबर 1 मत भूलिए। मुझे हमेशा से पता था कि मैं अमीर बनने जा रहा हूं। मुझे नहीं लगता कि मैंने 1 मिनट के लिए भी इस बात पर शक किया। मैं 7 फुट के अवरोध को पार करने की नहीं सोचता। मैं 1 फुट का अवरोध ढूंढता हूं जिसे मैं पार कर सकूं। साख बनाने में 20 साल लगते हैं और उसे गंवाने में बस 5 मिनट। अगर आप इस बारे में सोचेंगे तो आप चीज़ें अलग तरह से करेंगे। अगर बिजनेस अच्छा करता है तो स्टॉक खुद ब खुद अच्छा करने लगते हैं। अपने से बेहतर लोगों के साथ समय बिताना अच्छा होता है। ऐसे सहयोगी बनाएं जिनका व्यवहार आपसे अच्छा हो और आप उस दिशा में बढ़ जाएंगे। एक शानदार कंपनी को उचित कीमत पर खरीदना एक उचित कंपनी को शानदार कीमत पर खरीदने से कहीं बेहतर है। बाजार के उतार चढ़ाव को अपना मित्र समझिए। दूसरों की मूर्खता से लाभ उठाइए, उसका हिस्सा मत बनिए। मैं जिन अरबपतियों को जानता हूं, पैसा बस उनके अंदर बुनियादी लक्षण लाता है। अगर वो पहले से मूर्ख थे तो अब वो अरबों डॉलर के साथ मूर्ख हैं। केवल वही खरीदिए जिसे आप खुशी के साथ अगले 10 सालों तक होल्ड कर सकें। ज्वार चले जाने के बाद ही पता चलता है कि कौन लोग नंगे तैर रहे थे। अगर कोई आज पेड़ की छांव में बैठा है तो इस वजह से कि किसी ने बहुत समय पहले ये पेड़ लगाया होगा। जब सभी लालची हो जाते हैं तो हम डर के रहते हैं और जब सभी डर जाते हैं तब हम लालची बन जाते हैं। हमारी पसंदीदा होल्डिंग पीरियड है हमेशा के लिए। समय अच्छी कंपनियों का मित्र होता है और औसत दर्जे की कंपनियों का दुश्मन। तो दोस्तों, ये थे वॉरेन बफे के बेहद वाइज कोट्स। आई होप आपको ये कलेक्शन अच्छा लगा होगा एंड रिक्वेस्ट यू कि प्लीज़ आप इस वीडियो को लाइक करें, इस पर कमेंट करें और इसे अपने दोस्तों के साथ शेयर करें। हमारे नोटिफिकेशंस पाने के लिए आप बेल आइकन क्लिक कर सकते हैं। और हाँ, यदि आपने पॉजिटिविटी और मोटिवेशन से भरपूर इस चैनल को अभी तक सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो ज़रूर कर लें। आज अपना कीमती वक्त देने के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। थैंक यू।
नमस्कार। मिस्टर वॉरेन बफेट का जन्म 1930 में यूएस के ओमाहा शहर में हुआ। उनके पिताजी एक स्टॉक ब्रोकिंग फर्म में सेल्समैन का काम करते थे, पर 1929 के ग्रेट डिप्रेशन की वजह से उनकी नौकरी चली गई थी। बाद में अपनी कुछ सेविंग से उन्होंने अपना स्टॉक ब्रोकिंग फर्म शुरू किया। जब बाकी बच्चे खेलकूद का आनंद ले रहे थे, वही वॉरेन को बचपन में नंबर्स के साथ खेलना, बुक्स पढ़ना और छोटी मोटी बिजनेसेस करना पसंद था और उसमें ही उन्हें आनंद मिलता था, जैसे कि मानो वो उन्हीं चीज़ों के लिए बने थे। जब मिस्टर वॉरेन बफेट 7-8 साल के थे तब उन्होंने एक बुक पढ़ा था जिसका नाम था 1000 वेज टू मेक $1000, यानी $1000 कमाने के 1000 तरीके। और उस बुक में $1000 कमाने का एक तरीका था पिनबॉल मशीन के बिजनेस का। तो उन्होंने देखा कि एक पिनबॉल मशीन खरीदने के लिए कितने रुपए लगते हैं और उस मशीन से प्रॉफिट कमाकर और ज़्यादा मशीन्स खरीदने के लिए उन्हें कितना वक्त लगेगा। तो वॉरेन को ये बिजनेस अच्छा लगा और उन्होंने अपने एक दोस्त के साथ मिलकर एक पिनबॉल मशीन खरीद ली और उसे एक नाई की दुकान में रख दिया ताकि जो लोग वेटिंग में होंगे वो टाइम पास के लिए उसे खेल सके। जैसे जैसे उन्हें इस बिजनेस में प्रॉफिट मिलता गया तो उन्होंने वो प्रॉफिट री इन्वेस्ट करके और ज़्यादा पिनबॉल मशीन्स खरीद ली और उन मशीन्स को अलग अलग नाई की दुकानों में रख दिया। इस तरह अपने इस बिजनेस को बहुत ही अच्छी तरीके से चलाकर वॉरेन ने इस पिनबॉल मशीन के बिजनेस को $1200 में बेचकर बचपन में ही अपने बिजनेस स्किल्स का नमूना दिया। तो 7-8 साल की इतनी छोटी सी उम्र में ही उन्होंने बिजनेसेस करना शुरू किया। उसके बाद उन्होंने और भी कई सारे छोटे मोटे बिजनेसेस और काम किए, जैसे कि न्यूज़पेपर बांटना, डोर टू डोर जाकर कोका कोला, च्युइंगम, मैगजीन्स बेचना, एट्सेट्रा। हालांकि उनके फैमिली की फाइनेंशियल कंडीशन अच्छी थी, पर वॉरेन को छोटे मोटे बिजनेसेस करने में मज़ा आता था। 14 साल की उम्र में ही उन्होंने अपने सेविंग से 40 एकड़ जमीन खरीदी थी और कॉलेज खत्म होते होते उनके पास $9800 की सेविंग जमा हो चुकी थी। मिस्टर वॉरेन बफेट के पिताजी वॉरेन को बचपन में फायरबॉल कहते थे, क्योंकि छोटी सी उम्र में ही वॉरेन बहुत सारे छोटे मोटे बिजनेसेस करता था। उनके पिताजी को उन पर बहुत कॉन्फिडेंस था। उन्हें अपने पिताजी से बहुत अच्छा गाइडेंस मिला है, इसीलिए अपने सक्सेस का बहुत सारा क्रेडिट वे अपने पिताजी को देते हैं। उन्होंने पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन के लिए हार्वर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी में अप्लाई किया था, जो कि बहुत फेमस यूनिवर्सिटी है, पर उन्हें वहाँ रिजेक्ट कर दिया गया। जिसके बाद वे कुछ दूसरे कॉलेजेस और टीचर्स की इन्फॉर्मेशन चेक कर रहे थे, तब उन्हें पता चला कि मिस्टर बेंजामिन ग्राहम और मिस्टर डेविड डॉड ये दोनों प्रोफेसर कोलंबिया यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ाते हैं। मिस्टर वॉरेन बफेट ने इन दोनों का बुक सिक्योरिटी एनालिसिस पहले ही पढ़ चुका था और उस बुक से मिस्टर वॉरेन बफेट बहुत प्रभावित हुए थे। मिस्टर बेंजामिन ग्राहम और डेविड डॉड से इन्वेस्टिंग के बारे में सीखने के लिए उन्होंने कोलंबिया यूनिवर्सिटी में एडमिशन लेने का फैसला किया। यह फैसला आगे चलकर उनके लिए एक लाइफ चेंजिंग डिसीजन साबित हुआ। प्रोफेसर बेंजामिन ग्राहम ने वैल्यू इन्वेस्टिंग की फिलॉसफी बनाई थी। बाद में उन्हें फादर ऑफ वैल्यू इन्वेस्टिंग के नाम से भी पहचाना जाने लगा। प्रोफेसर बेंजामिन ग्राहम से वैल्यू इन्वेस्टिंग की फिलॉसफी सीखने के बाद वॉरेन बफेट ने बेंजामिन ग्राहम के पार्टनरशिप फर्म ग्राहम न्यूमैन के लिए फ्री में काम करने की इच्छा व्यक्त की, पर बेंजामिन ग्राहम ने उसे रिजेक्ट कर दिया और 2 साल बाद बेंजामिन ग्राहम ने वॉरेन बफेट को उनके पार्टनरशिप फर्म में जॉब ऑफर की। अगले 2 सालों तक वॉरेन बफेट ने वहाँ पर सिक्योरिटी एनालिस्ट का काम किया और प्रोफेसर बेंजामिन ग्राहम के साथ काम करके अपनी इन्वेस्टिंग स्किल्स को इम्प्रूव किया। फिर जब 1956 में बेंजामिन ग्राहम रिटायर हो गए तो उन्होंने अपना पार्टनरशिप फर्म बंद कर दिया और फिर वॉरेन बफेट वापस अपने होम टाउन ओमाहा चले आए और वहाँ पर उन्होंने कुछ पार्टनरशिप फर्म शुरू किए। पार्टनरशिप फर्म्स को अब हेज फंड कहते हैं। प्रोफेसर बेंजामिन ग्राहम की वैल्यू इन्वेस्टिंग की फिलॉसफी को फॉलो करके उन्होंने बहुत प्रॉफिट कमाया और जल्दी मिलीनियर बन गए। वैल्यू इन्वेस्टिंग मतलब अंडर वैल्यूड स्टॉक्स को खरीदना, यानी शेयर्स को उनकी इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू से कम प्राइस पर खरीदना। इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू मतलब स्टॉक की रियल वैल्यू, जिसे कंपनी के एसेट्स, अर्निंग्स, डिविडेंड और अर्निंग पावर जस्टिफाई करते हैं। प्रोफेसर बेंजामिन ग्राहम फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स का एनालिसिस करके स्टॉक्स की इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू निकालते थे। कई बार स्टॉक प्राइस उसकी इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू से नीचे चली जाती है, तो वैल्यू इन्वेस्टिंग में उन स्टॉक्स को खरीदा जाता है जिनकी स्टॉक प्राइस उनकी इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू से कम होती है। मिस्टर वॉरेन बफेट ने बर्कशायर हैथवे के शेयर्स पहली बार 1962 में खरीदे थे। तब बर्कशायर हैथवे एक बड़ा टेक्सटाइल यानी कपड़ों का बिजनेस था और बर्कशायर हैथवे का बिजनेस बहुत खराब परफॉर्म कर रहा था। कंपनी धीरे धीरे एक के बाद एक टेक्सटाइल मिल्स बेच रही थी और उन पैसों से बर्कशायर हैथवे के शेयर्स रिपर्चेस कर रही थी, यानी शेयर होल्डर्स से वापस खरीद रही थी। तो मिस्टर वॉरेन बफेट ने यह सोचकर बर्कशायर हैथवे के शेयर्स खरीदे थे कि बर्कशायर हैथवे का मैनेजमेंट कंपनी बंद करने की प्लानिंग कर रहे हैं और जब कंपनी अपनी बाकी बची हुई टेक्सटाइल मिल्स बेचेगी तो उन पैसों से कंपनी ज़रूर शेयर्स बायबैक करेगी और तब मुझे बर्कशायर हैथवे के शेयर्स के लिए अच्छी प्राइस मिलेगी। उन्होंने 1964 तक अच्छी खासी क्वांटिटी में बर्कशायर हैथवे के शेयर्स खरीद लिए थे और जब बर्कशायर हैथवे ने अपनी और मिल्स बेच दी और उन पैसों से जब बर्कशायर हैथवे के शेयर्स रिपर्चेस करने लगी, तब उन्होंने मिस्टर बफेट से पूछा कि वो किस प्राइस पर अपने शेयर्स बेचना चाहते हैं। तो उस पर मिस्टर बफेट ने कहा $11.5। तो बर्कशायर हैथवे के मैनेजमेंट ने कहा कि ठीक है, हम $11.5 की प्राइस पर आपसे शेयर्स खरीद लेंगे। पर जब मिस्टर वॉरेन बफेट को शेयर्स खरीदने के लिए बर्कशायर हैथवे से ऑफर लेटर मिला तो उसमें 11.5 नहीं बल्कि $11.375 प्राइस थी, जबकि डील $11.5 की हुई थी। उन्हें बर्कशायर हैथवे के मैनेजमेंट का ये झूठा बिहेवियर बिल्कुल भी पसंद नहीं आया। उन्होंने वो ऑफर तुरंत रिजेक्ट कर दी और बर्कशायर हैथवे के और ज़्यादा शेयर्स खरीदने लगे। जब तक कंपनी का कंट्रोल उनके हाथ में नहीं आता तब तक वे शेयर्स खरीदते रहे, और कंपनी का कंट्रोल मिलते ही उन्होंने बर्कशायर हैथवे के उस चीटर मैनेजमेंट को कंपनी से हकाल दिया। वे हमेशा कहते हैं कि इन्वेस्टिंग करते वक्त इमोशंस को दूर रखना चाहिए, पर यहाँ पर उन्होंने अपनी इन्वेस्टमेंट डिसीजन इमोशनली ली थी और वे उसे अपनी गलती मानते हैं। इस गलती को बाद में उन्होंने एक सक्सेसफुल बिजनेस में कन्वर्ट कर दिया। 1969 में उन्होंने अपना पार्टनरशिप्स का बिजनेस बंद कर दिया और बर्कशायर हैथवे के चेयरमैन बन गए। उन्हें कंपनी के टेक्सटाइल बिजनेस में कुछ खास ग्रोथ नहीं दिख रही थी, इसलिए उन्होंने बर्कशायर हैथवे को एक होल्डिंग कंपनी बना दिया। होल्डिंग कंपनी मतलब वो कंपनी जो दूसरी कंपनीज के शेयर्स खरीदती है, यानी दूसरी कंपनीज में इन्वेस्ट करती है, और फिर वे बर्कशायर हैथवे के जरिए अलग अलग कंपनीज में इन्वेस्ट करने लगे, जैसे कि वॉशिंगटन पोस्ट, कोका कोला, गायको एट्सेट्रा। बाद में उन्होंने कुछ इंश्योरेंस बिजनेसेस को खरीदकर इंश्योरेंस बिजनेस में एंट्री की और कंपनी का टेक्सटाइल बिजनेस बंद कर दिया। मिस्टर वॉरेन बफेट ने सिर्फ 11 साल की उम्र में पहली बार स्टॉक मार्केट में इन्वेस्ट किया था। वे कहते हैं कि मैंने 11 साल की उम्र में पहली बार स्टॉक मार्केट में इन्वेस्ट किया था और तब तक मैं अपना टाइम वेस्ट कर रहा था। उनके पिताजी के स्टॉक ब्रोकिंग के ऑफिस में बहुत सारी इन्वेस्टिंग से जुड़ी किताबें थी, तो वॉरेन ने वो सारी किताबें पढ़ ली थी, जिससे उन्हें इन्वेस्टिंग की जानकारी मिली और इन्वेस्टिंग में उनकी रुचि बढ़ने लगी। उन्होंने अपनी सबसे पहली इन्वेस्टमेंट सिटीज सर्विस नाम की कंपनी में की थी। उन्होंने अपने लिए और अपनी सिस्टर के लिए सिटीज सर्विस के शेयर्स $38 के प्राइस पर खरीदे थे। वॉरेन ने खरीदने के बाद सिटीज सर्विस का स्टॉक $30 के भी नीचे चला गया और कुछ टाइम बाद फिर $40 पर आ गया, तो वॉरेन ने $40 की प्राइस पर सिटीज सर्विस के शेयर्स बेच दिए। बाद में वो स्टॉक $200 तक चला गया। तो उस पर मिस्टर बफेट कहते हैं कि उनकी पहली इन्वेस्टिंग से उन्हें इन्वेस्टिंग में पेशेंस यानी सब्र कितना इंपॉर्टेंट है इसकी सीख मिली। इसलिए मिस्टर बफेट बहुत लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए इन्वेस्ट करते हैं। उन्होंने वॉशिंगटन पोस्ट के शेयर्स 1973 से खरीदना शुरू किया था, जिन पर उन्हें 9000% से ज़्यादा रिटर्न मिला है, और ऐसी बहुत सारी कंपनीज में उन्हें थाउजेंड्स एंड थाउजेंड्स % रिटर्न मिले हैं। वे किसी कंपनी के शेयर्स खरीदने को उस बिजनेस को खरीदने जैसा देखते हैं, इसलिए वे उन्हीं बिजनेसेस में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं जो उन्हें समझते हैं, क्योंकि उन्हें वो बिजनेस पूरी तरह से समझेगा तभी वे उस बिजनेस का इन डेप्थ एनालिसिस कर पाएंगे। 1988 से उन्होंने कोका कोला में इन्वेस्ट करना शुरू किया और कोका कोला के लगभग 7% स्टेक्स खरीद लिए थे। अभी भी उन्होंने कोका कोला के शेयर्स होल्ड करके रखे हैं। वे खुद कोक के बहुत बड़े फ़ैन हैं और डेली 5 से 6 कैंस कोक पीते हैं और मजाक में कहते हैं कि मेरी बॉडी में 25% कोक है। इन्वेस्टमेंट से मिले प्रॉफिट्स और डिविडेंड्स को वे और बिजनेसेस में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं। उनकी सक्सेसफुल इन्वेस्टमेंट्स जैसे कि कोका कोला, वॉशिंगटन पोस्ट और रिंगलेस च्युइंगम, इन बिजनेसेस को वे बचपन से जानते थे। वे बचपन में वॉशिंगटन पोस्ट न्यूज़पेपर बांटते थे और कोका कोला और रिंगलेस च्युइंगम बेचते थे, जिसकी वजह से उन्हें उन प्रोडक्ट्स की क्वालिटी, उनका बिजनेस, उनके कस्टमर्स की लॉयल्टी, इन सब के बारे में बहुत जानकारी थी, जो आगे उन्हें इन्वेस्टिंग करते वक्त काम आई। प्रोफेसर बेंजामिन ग्राहम ने अपने बुक इंटेलिजेंट इन्वेस्टर में कहा है कि इन्वेस्टिंग इज मोस्ट इंटेलिजेंट व्हेन इट इज़ मोस्ट बिजनेस लाइक। तो मिस्टर बफेट कहते हैं कि ये 9 शब्द इन्वेस्टिंग पर लिखे गए सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट शब्द हैं। मिस्टर वॉरेन बफेट ने प्रोफेसर बेंजामिन ग्राहम और फिलिप फिशर इन दोनों की फिलॉसफीज को फॉलो किया है। वे कहते हैं कि मैं 15% फिलिप फिशर हूँ और 85% बेंजामिन ग्राहम हूँ। प्रोफेसर बेंजामिन ग्राहम की फिलॉसफी कहती है कि जब स्टॉक अंडर वैल्यूड होता है यानी कम वैल्यूएशन पर अवेलेबल होता है तब उसे खरीदो, और मिस्टर फिलिप फिशर की फिलॉसफी कहती है कि क्वालिटी बिजनेसेस में इन्वेस्ट करो। तो मिस्टर बफेट ने इन दोनों की फिलॉसफीज को ऐड किया और अपनी खुद की फिलॉसफी बना दी, दैट इज क्वालिटी बिजनेसेस जब अंडर वैल्यूड होते हैं तब उन्हें खरीदो। उन्होंने अपनी ज़्यादातर इन्वेस्टमेंट्स रिसेशन पीरियड में और जब कंपनी कोई वन टाइम प्रॉब्लम फेस कर रही होती है तब की है, क्योंकि तब उन्हें स्टॉक्स लो वैल्यूएशन पर खरीदने मिलते हैं। उनकी कंपनी बर्कशायर हैथवे आज 60 से भी ज़्यादा कंपनीज ओन करती है। इन्वेस्टिंग में वे हमेशा इन 2 रूल्स को फॉलो करते हैं। पहला रूल है नेवर लूज मनी और दूसरा रूल है नेवर फॉरगेट रूल नंबर 1। वे अपने बिजनेस पार्टनर मिस्टर चार्ली मंगर को भी अपने सक्सेस का क्रेडिट देते हैं और उनकी तारीफ करते वे कभी नहीं थकते। दिन में 5 से 6 घंटे से ज़्यादा वक्त वे पढ़ने में बिताते हैं। वे अब 87 साल के हैं और आज भी बिजनेस और इन्वेस्टिंग करते वक्त लॉन्ग टर्म के बारे में सोचते हैं। वे बचपन में ही अपनी बहन से कहते थे कि मैं दुनिया का सबसे अमीर इंसान बनने वाला हूँ, और 2008-2009 में वे कुछ महीनों के लिए दुनिया के सबसे अमीर इंसान बन गए थे, और कई सालों से दुनिया के रिचेस्ट पर्सन की लिस्ट में वे लगातार दूसरे या तीसरे पायदान पर बने रहे हैं। इतने अमीर होने के बावजूद भी वे उसी घर में रहते हैं जो उन्होंने 1958 में खरीदा था। वे अपनी कार भी खुद ही चलाते हैं। साल 2000 से वे $46 बिलियन दान कर चुके हैं और वे दुनिया के सबसे चैरिटेबल व्यक्ति हैं। कुछ लोग सोचते हैं कि उनके पास इतना सारा पैसा है तो उन्हें इस उम्र में काम करने की क्या ज़रूरत है। तो दोस्तों, वे बिजनेस अपनी ज़रूरतों को पूरा करने के लिए नहीं करते। बिजनेस और इन्वेस्टिंग उनका जुनून है और उसे वे डीपली एंजॉय करते हैं और उसे जीते हैं। उन्होंने अपना 90% से ज़्यादा पैसा 50 साल की उम्र के बाद कमाया है। उनके लिए एज तो बस एक नंबर है। 87 साल की उम्र में भी वे बर्कशायर हैथवे के बिजनेस को उसी बाखूबी से चला रहे हैं। अगर आपको मिस्टर वॉरेन बफेट की इस इंस्पिरेशनल स्टोरी से कुछ वैल्यूएबल सीखने मिला है तो ज़रूर इस वीडियो को व्हाट्सएप पर अपने दोस्तों के साथ शेयर करें ताकि वो भी उनसे इंस्पायर हो सके। अगर finnovations.com इस चैनल पर आप नए हो तो ज़रूर चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करके finnovations.com के फैमिली में शामिल हो जाइए। हम ऐसे ही बहुत सारे वीडियोस चैनल पर अपलोड करते हैं, तो चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करना बिल्कुल ना भूलें। अगर आपको इस वीडियो से रिलेटेड या स्टॉक मार्केट से रिलेटेड कुछ सवाल पूछने हैं तो आप हमें 8055-835-835 या 9049-641491 इस नंबर पर कॉल या व्हाट्सएप कर सकते हो। हमसे लगातार जुड़ने के लिए आप हमें फेसबुक और ट्विटर पर फॉलो कर सकते हो और हमारे टेलीग्राम चैनल को भी ज्वाइन कर सकते हो। थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग।
It's only when the tide goes out that you discover who's been swimming naked. And what Buffett means by this is that when times are good in the market, it is very easy to make money. It's only when things go south and the markets come crashing down that we realize who was investing responsibly and who was swimming naked. This all starts from things like profit taking, not being over leveraged, and holding quality assets, maybe even something like bonds. Number 9. Somebody is sitting in the shade today because somebody planted a tree a long time ago. The benefits of a tree, such as shade, shelter, and beauty, are a result of a tiny seed slowly growing into a tree over the course of years and years and years. It's the equivalent of an investment portfolio started a long time ago from something very small and grown into something far greater over time. Number 8. It's far better to buy a wonderful company at a fair price than a fair company at a wonderful price. And all else being equal, you'd rather invest in a quality company, although it may not be showing extreme value, versus a mediocre company that currently looks attractive. Think about it this way. Would you rather have a small piece of a delicious pie or a big piece of a crappy one? Number 7. Only buy something that you'd be perfectly happy to hold if the markets shut down for 10 years. Now, when investing in a company, you should always come in with a long-term view. If the stock market were to close down and you were unable to sell your stock for 10 years, how would this company be doing 10 years from now? Would that be okay? Number 6, in the short term, the market is a popularity contest or a voting machine. In the long term, the market is a weighing machine. Now, what Buffett means by this is that the markets can remain irrational over short periods of time and companies may trade unjustifiably higher or lower. But over time, companies do revert to their mean or to their intrinsic value. So think voting versus weighing. Number 5, and this is one of my favorites. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. Investing is not a game where the guy with the 160 IQ beats the guy with the 130 IQ. And this is a very powerful quote because the stock market is a very interesting place where the smarter person does not always have the advantage. In fact, a smarter person can often cause more harm to their portfolios by thinking that they know more than they really do. Number 4, a classic. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. And when it comes to investing, price and value are not always the same thing. When investing in a stock, always understand that the price may be above or below what the company is actually worth. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. Number 3, our favorite holding period is forever. And when Buffett invests in a company, it is not for the short term, like a month or a year. The idea behind buying stocks is to gain ownership into a quality business that you could hold for years and years to come. Number 2, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. The best times to buy stocks are when investors are scared and the share prices are depressed. In other words, when people are selling. And as difficult as it is to not follow the herd and buy into this weakness, this is a strategy that will do you wonders over the years. Number 1, my favorite quote by Warren Buffett. Investing is simple, but not necessarily easy. And believe it or not, the technical part of investing, such as picking stocks and building a diversified portfolio, is actually the easy part. But being able to manage the psychological aspects of investing, such as managing your emotions, being patient, and staying disciplined to your plan, is what makes for a truly great investor. So guys, those are my top 10 favorite quotes by Warren Buffett. Which of these is your favorite? And did I leave any out? Be sure to leave a comment down below, and if you enjoyed the video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Thank you for watching.
He was the single most successful investor of the 20th century. Time magazine named him one of the most influential people in the world. He's worth over $70 billion. He's Warren Buffett, and here are his top 10 rules for success.
How can other people tap dance to work? What's the secret of that?
You find your passion. You find your passion. I was very, very lucky to find it, when I was 7 or 8 years old, and fortunately my children have found their passion. One son loves farming like nothing else, one son loves music like everything else, and all three of them love philanthropy and what they get to do. You're lucky in life when you find it, and you can't guarantee you're going to find it in your first job out, but I always tell the college students that come out, I say, take the job that you would take if you were independently wealthy. You're going to do well at it. If you think you're going to be a lot happier if you've got 2x instead of x, you're probably making a mistake. I mean, you ought to find something you like that works with that, and you'll get in trouble if you think that making 10x or 20x is the answer to everything in life, because then you will do things like borrow money when you shouldn't, or maybe cut corners on things that your employer wants you to cut corners on. Or it just doesn't make any sense. You won't like it when you look back on it. 3 things in hiring people: look for integrity, intelligence, and energy. And he said if the person didn't have the first 2, that the latter 2 would kill them. Because if they don't have integrity, you want them dumb and lazy. You don't want them smart and energetic. It never bothered me if people disagreed with what I thought, as long as I felt I knew the facts. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things I don't know a thing about. I just stay away from those. So I stay within what I call my circle of competence. Tom Watson said it best. He said, I'm no genius, but I'm smart in spots, and I stay around those spots. Well, I try and stay around those spots, and I just don't have a problem if somebody says, you're wrong on something. I go back and look at the facts, and I think that really is much more important, frankly, than having a few points of IQ or having an extra course or 2 in school or anything of the sort. You need emotional stability. I just read and read and read. I probably read 5 to 6 hours a day. I don't read as fast now as when I was younger, but I read 5 daily newspapers. I read a fair number of magazines. I read 10Ks. I read annual reports, and I read a lot of other things too. So I've always enjoyed reading. I love reading biographies. Famous lesson about a margin of safety, that you don't drive a truck that weighs 9,900 pounds across a bridge that says limit 10,000 pounds, because you can't be that sure about it. If you see something like that, you go down a little further down the road and you find one that says limit 20,000 pounds, and that's the one you drive across. The nature of capitalism is that people want to come in and take your castle. It's perfectly understandable. I mean, if I'm selling television sets or something, there's going to be 10 other people that are going to try and sell a better television set. If I have a restaurant here in Omaha, people are going to try and copy my menu and give more parking and take my chef and so on. So capitalism's all about somebody coming and trying to take the castle. Now, what you need is a castle that has some durable competitive advantage, some castle that has a moat around it. And that moat, one of the best moats in many respects, is to be a low-cost producer. But sometimes the moat is just having more talent. I mean, if you're the heavyweight champion of the world and you keep knocking out people, you've got a competitive advantage as long as you can keep doing it. And it's very profitable if you're the one that happens to be able to do it. If you can turn out great motion pictures, I mean, Steven Spielberg, I mean, he's a fellow to bet on, and it has enormous economic value. You'd be surprised at my days. I mean, they're very unstructured, no meetings, none. I mean, I don't like meetings, and I read a lot. I wish I were a faster reader. I'd get more done, but I do read a lot, and I'm on the phone a moderate amount. Our businesses run themselves basically out there. My job is allocating capital, and that's what I'm thinking about. But I don't like to have things all packed hour to hour to hour. And Bill and I are both extraordinarily lucky. I mean, we really get to do what we like to do, the way we want to do it, with people that we choose to be around, and they're terrific. I mean, we've really got everything our way, and we're very fortunate. And in his world, he has a different kind of pace than I have, but we both love it the way we do it. And my guess is that we're each the most productive in that particular mode too, because it fits our personalities and aptitudes. What kills great businesses, if you look at, I do believe in looking at history, and I like to study failure, actually. And my partner says all I want to know is where I'll die, so I'll never go there. And we want to see what has caused businesses to go bad. And the biggest thing that kills them is complacency. I mean, you want a restlessness, a feeling that somebody's always after you, but you're going to stay ahead of them. You always want to be on the move. And when you've got a great business, like Coca-Cola, there aren't any like Coca-Cola, but you really, the danger would always be that you rest on your laurels. But I see none of that, obviously, at Coca-Cola. But that is the key, to compete the same way when you've got 1.8 billion servings being sold daily as when you were selling 10 a day. And that restlessness, that belief that tomorrow is more exciting than today, you just have to have it permeate the organization.
Who was Ben Graham? He was your primary mentor, model?
He was a wonderful man, and he was my professor at Columbia. I read his book when I was 19 at the University of Nebraska, and I'd started investing when I was 11, and I started reading about it when I was like 7. So I'd gone through I read every book in the Omaha Public Library that there was by the time I was 12 on investing and stock market. And I had a lot of fun, but I never really found out, I never got grounded in anything. And it was entertaining, but it wasn't going to be profitable. And then I read Graham's book, The Intelligent Investor, when I was at the University of Nebraska. And that just opened the whole thing up to me. Yeah, and I named my oldest son is named Howard after my dad, Graham Buffett, and he was a marvelous man. Never expected anything from me in return. Ben Graham, in his low teens, looked around and he looked at the people he admired, and he said, I want to be admired, so why don't I just behave like them? And he found there was nothing impossible about behaving like them. And similarly, he did the same thing on the reverse side in terms of getting rid of those qualities.
You have given a lot of fabulous advice, but what's the best advice that you've ever received?
Well, I received it in a variety of forms, particularly from my father when I was very young. But I mean, he basically, I think, taught me how to live. Not that I did it perfectly or anything like that, but I mean, he was giving me lessons, but he wasn't doing it by preaching to me. He was doing it by example. But basically, well, the biggest lesson, in a sense, I got is the power of unconditional love. I mean, I think there is no power on earth like unconditional love, and I think that if you offer that to your child, I mean, you're 90% of the way home, and there may be days when you don't feel like it. It's not uncritical love. That's a different animal. But to know you always can come back, I mean, that is huge in life. That takes you a long, long way. And I would say that every parent out there that can extend that to their child at a very young age, it's going to make for a better human being.
And you felt like you got that kind of unconditional love from your dad?
I absolutely did, yeah.
That is a powerful thing.
It is a powerful thing.
Thank you for watching. I'd love to know what you think of Warren Buffett as an entrepreneur. Let me know your thoughts by leaving it in the comments below. I made this video because Ray Carter asked me to, so if there's a famous entrepreneur that you want me to profile, leave it again in the comments below and I'll see what I can do for you. Thank you for watching, continue to believe, and I'll see you soon.
29 Warren Buffett quotes on investing and success. Warren Buffett is obviously incredibly successful. He's built his wealth long-term to over $75 billion approx, making him one of the richest men in America. Warren lives by his certain set of values that he uses to invest and make other life decisions. He has some great advice that we can use to be successful. Take a look at 29 intelligent and inspiring quotes on investing and success from Warren Buffett, one of the world's most wealthy people. Number 1. Buffett's only 2 rules for investing. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. Number 2. The market can price things wrong. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. Number 3. High returns with low risk is the key. Risk comes from not knowing what you are doing. Number 4. Get around the right people. It's better to hang out with people better than you. Pick out associates whose behavior is better than yours and you'll drift in that direction. Number 5. It's easier to look back than to look into the future. In the business world, the rearview mirror is always clearer than the windshield. Number 6. Buy wonderful companies. It's far better to buy a wonderful company at a fair price, than a fair company at a wonderful price. Number 7. Your public image and reputation. It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. Number 8. It's okay to dream big. I always knew I was going to be rich. I don't think I ever doubted it for a minute. Number 9. Invest for the long term. Only buy something that you'd be perfectly happy to hold if the market shut down for 10 years. Number 10. Buy it thinking you will hold it forever. Our favorite holding period is forever. Number 11. People make investing seem more difficult than it should. The business schools reward difficult, complex behavior more than simple behavior, but simple behavior is more effective. Number 12. Doing nothing is often the right thing to do. You do things when the opportunities come along. I've had periods in my life when I've had a bundle of ideas come along, and I've had long dry spells. If I get an idea next week, I'll do something. If not, I won't do a damn thing. Number 13. On finding honesty in others. Honesty is a very expensive gift. Don't expect it from cheap people. Number 14. Appreciate where you came from. Someone's sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. Number 15. Give back to society. If you're in the luckiest 1% of humanity, you owe it to the rest of humanity to think about the other 99%. Number 16. Don't make investing difficult. There seems to be some perverse human characteristic that likes to make easy things difficult. Number 17. Make your own forecasts. Forecasts may tell you a great deal about the forecaster, they tell you nothing about the future. Number 18. It's usually best to just say no. The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. Number 19. Do what you love. In the world of business, the people who are most successful are those who are doing what they love. Number 20. Actions versus results. You keep doing the same things and you keep getting the same result over and over again. Number 21. Invest only in companies you know and trust. An investor should act as though he had a lifetime decision card with just 20 punches on it. Number 22. Manage your time better. You've gotta keep control of your time, and you can't unless you say no. You can't let people set your agenda in life. Number 23. Great investors don't diversify. Diversification is protection against ignorance. It makes little sense if you know what you are doing. Number 24. Seize great opportunities and load up the truck. Opportunities come infrequently. When it rains gold, put out the bucket, not the thimble. Number 25. History doesn't dictate the future. If past history was all that is needed to play the game of money, the richest people would be librarians. Number 26. Choose your heroes wisely. Tell me who your heroes are and I'll tell you who you'll turn out to be. Number 27. Make long-term investments over short-term ones. If you aren't thinking about owning a stock for 10 years, don't even think about owning it for 10 minutes. Number 28. Don't be greedy. Not doing what we love in the name of greed is very poor management of our lives. Number 29. Spend time on personal development. The most important investment you can make is in yourself. Did I miss any of your favorite quotes? Leave a comment in the comments section. Remember this, Warren Buffett started with $100 and turned it into $30 billion. That means that it isn't about the money you have, it's about the knowledge you have. It means there are no real barriers to you getting rich if you're willing to work hard and learn. 101 Handpicked Warren Buffett Quotes on Investing. Warren Buffett, better known as the Oracle of Omaha, Sage of Omaha or Wizard of Omaha, is obviously the most successful investor of all times. He is not only known for his investment philosophy but also for his great quotes on investing. So, I'm going to share with you 101 quotes by Warren Buffett on investing that I find inspiring. So I'm going to include some famous quotes from his annual letters as well. 101 Famous Quotes by Warren Buffett on Investing. Number 1. Never invest in a business you cannot understand. Number 2. Always invest for the long term. Number 3. No matter how great the talent or efforts, some things just take time. You can't produce a baby in 1 month by getting 9 women pregnant. Number 4. Whether we're talking about socks or stocks, I like buying quality merchandise when it is marked down. Number 5. What we learn from history is that people don't learn from history. Number 6. Buy a business, don't rent stocks. Number 7. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. Investing is not a game where the guy with the 160 IQ beats the guy with 130 IQ. Number 8. We have long felt that the only value of stock forecasters is to make fortune tellers look good. Number 9. A prediction about the direction of the stock market tells you nothing about where stocks are headed, but a whole lot about the person doing the predicting. Number 10. Someone sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. Number 11. I really like my life. I've arranged my life so that I can do what I want. Number 12. We will only do with your money what we would do with our own. Number 13. If you don't feel comfortable owning something for 10 years, then don't own it for 10 minutes. Number 14. I am a better investor because I am a businessman and a better businessman because I am an investor. Number 15. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. Number 16. The stock market is designed to transfer money from the active to the patient. Number 17. Stop trying to predict the direction of the stock market, the economy, interest rates, or elections. Number 18. I never attempt to make money on the stock market. I buy on the assumption that they could close the market the next day and not reopen it for 10 years. Number 19. By periodically investing in an index fund, the know-nothing investors can actually outperform most investment professionals. Number 20. I have pledged to always run Berkshire with more than ample cash. I will not trade even a night's sleep for the chance of extra profits. Number 21. The best business returns are usually achieved by companies that are doing something quite similar today to what they were doing 5 or 10 years ago. Number 22. Investing is laying out money now to get more money back in the future. Number 23. The stock market is a no-called strike game. You don't have to swing at everything, you can wait for your pitch. Number 24. Never count on making a good sale. Have the purchase price be so attractive that even a mediocre sale gives good results. Number 25. I don't look to jump over 7-foot bars, I look around for 1-foot bars that I can step over. Number 26. For some reason, people take their cues from price action rather than from values. What doesn't work is when you start doing things that you don't understand or because they worked last week for somebody else. The dumbest reason in the world to buy a stock is because it's going up. Number 27. Never give up searching for the job that you're passionate about. Try to find the job you'd have if you were independently rich. Forget about the pay. When you're associating with the people that you love, doing what you love, it doesn't get any better than that. Number 28. We don't get paid for activity, just for being right. As to how long we will wait, we'll wait indefinitely. Number 29. As Buffett said in a speech, he's not looking at quarterly earnings projections, he's not looking at next year's earnings, he's not thinking about what day of the week it is, he doesn't care what investment research from any place says, he's not interested in price momentum, volume or anything. He's simply asking, what is the business worth? Number 30. Buy companies with strong histories of profitability and with a dominant business franchise. Number 31. Most people get interested in stocks when everyone else is. The time to get interested is when no one else is. You can't buy what is popular and do well. Number 32. Our approach is very much profiting from lack of change rather than from change. With Wrigley chewing gum, it's the lack of change that appeals to me. I don't think it is going to be hurt by the internet. That's the kind of business I like. Number 33. When asked how he became so successful in investing, Buffett answered, "We read hundreds and hundreds of annual reports every year." Number 34. When a management team with a reputation for brilliance joins a business with poor fundamental economics, it is the reputation of the business that remains intact. Number 35. I try to buy stock in businesses that are so wonderful that an idiot can run them. Because sooner or later, one will. Number 36. Only those who will be sellers of equities in the near future should be happy at seeing stocks rise. Prospective purchasers should much prefer sinking prices. Number 37. Diversification is a protection against ignorance. It makes very little sense for those who know what they're doing. Number 38. Wide diversification is only required when investors do not understand what they are doing. Number 39. You're neither right nor wrong because other people agree with you. You're right because your facts are right and your reasoning is right. That's the only thing that makes you right. And if your facts and reasoning are right, you don't have to worry about anybody else. Number 40. It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. Number 41. The first rule is not to lose. The second rule is not to forget the first rule. Number 42. Only buy something that you'd be perfectly happy to hold if the market shut down for 10 years. Number 43. I will tell you how to become rich. Close the doors. Be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful. Number 44. Why not invest your assets in the companies you really like? As Mae West said, too much of a good thing can be wonderful. Number 45. Our favorite holding period is forever. Number 46. Investing is laying out money now to get more money back in the future. Number 47. The most important thing to do if you find yourself in a hole is to stop digging. Number 48. Money is not everything. Make sure you earn a lot before speaking such nonsense. Number 49. When a management with a reputation for brilliance tackles a business with a reputation for bad economics, it is the reputation of the business that remains intact. Number 50. Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. Number 51. Unless you can watch your stock holding decline by 50% without becoming panic-stricken, you should not be in the stock market. Number 52. The critical investment factor is determining the intrinsic value of a business and paying a fair or bargain price. Number 53. Investors making purchases in an overheated market need to recognize that it may often take an extended period for the value of even an outstanding company to catch up with the price they paid. Number 54. It's better to hang out with people better than you. Pick out associates whose behavior is better than yours and you'll drift in that direction. Number 55. Risk can be greatly reduced by concentrating on only a few holdings. Number 56. It is not necessary to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. Number 57. An investor should ordinarily hold a small piece of an outstanding business with the same tenacity that an owner would exhibit if he owned all of that business. Number 58. Diversification may preserve wealth, but concentration builds wealth. Number 59. Great investment opportunities come around when excellent companies are surrounded by unusual circumstances that cause the stock to be misappraised. Number 60. You won't keep control of your time, unless you can say no. You can't let other people set your agenda in life. Number 61. In the business world, the rearview mirror is always clearer than the windshield. Number 62. If a business does well, the stock eventually follows. Number 63. Cash never makes us happy, but it's better to have the money burning a hole in Berkshire's pocket than resting comfortably in someone else's. Number 64. Wall Street is the only place that people ride to in a Rolls-Royce to get advice from those who take the subway. Number 65. A public opinion poll is no substitute for thought. Number 66. I never buy anything unless I can fill out on a piece of paper my reasons. I may be wrong, but I would know the answer to that. I'm paying $32 billion today for the Coca-Cola Company because. If you can't answer that question, you shouldn't buy it. If you can answer that question, and you do it a few times, you'll make a lot of money. Number 67. The investor of today does not profit from yesterday's growth. Number 68. I knew a lot about what I did when I was 20. I had read a lot, and I aspired to learn everything I could about the subject. Number 69. You only have to do a very few things right in your life so long as you don't do too many things wrong. Number 70. It's far better to buy a wonderful company at a fair price than a fair company at a wonderful price. Number 71. You ought to be able to explain why you're taking the job you're taking, why you're making the investment you're making, or whatever it may be. And if it can't stand applying pencil to paper, you'd better think it through some more. And if you can't write an intelligent answer to those questions, don't do it. Number 72. Look at market fluctuations as your friend rather than your enemy, profit from folly rather than participate in it. Number 73. An investor needs to do very few things right as long as he or she avoids big mistakes. Number 74. Do a lot of reading on how to determine the value of a business. Number 75. Somebody once said that in looking for people to hire, you look for 3 qualities: integrity, intelligence, and energy. And if you don't have the first, the other 2 will kill you. You think about it, it's true. If you hire somebody without integrity, you really want them to be dumb and lazy. Number 76. Only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked. Number 77. The fact that people will be full of greed, fear, or folly is predictable. The sequence is not predictable. Number 78. Time is the friend of the wonderful company, the enemy of the mediocre. Number 79. I do not like debt and do not like to invest in companies that have too much debt, particularly long-term debt. With long-term debt, increases in interest rates can drastically affect company profits and make future cash flows less predictable. Number 80. We will reject interesting opportunities rather than over-leverage our balance sheet. Number 81. I always knew I was going to be rich. I don't think I ever doubted it for a minute. Number 82. Turnarounds seldom turn. Number 83. If at first you do succeed, quit trying on investing. Number 84. I don't measure my life by the money I've made. Other people might, but certainly don't. Number 85. Anything can happen in stock markets and you ought to conduct your affairs so that if the most extraordinary events happen, that you're still around to play the next day. Number 86. You shouldn't own common stocks if a 50% decrease in their value in a short period of time would cause you acute distress. Number 87. With few exceptions, when a manager with a reputation for brilliance tackles a business with a reputation for poor economics, it is the reputation of the business which remains intact. Number 88. The business schools reward complex behavior more than simple behavior, but simple behavior is more effective. Number 89. It's not debt per se that overwhelms an individual, corporation, or country. Rather, it is a continuous increase in debt in relation to income that causes trouble. Number 90. A great investment opportunity occurs when a marvelous business encounters a one-time huge, but solvable problem. Number 91. You do not adequately protect yourself by being half awake when others are sleeping. Number 92. We like to buy businesses, but we don't like to sell them. Number 93. Money to some extent sometimes let you be in more interesting environments. But it can't change how many people love you or how healthy you are. Number 94. It's us fun being a gorse when the tractor comes along, or the blacksmith when the car comes along. Number 95. Enjoy your work and work for whom you admire. Number 96. With enough insider information and $1 million, you can go broke in a year. Number 97. Read Ben Graham and Phil Fisher. Read annual reports, but don't do equations with Greek letters in them. Number 98. In a commodity business, it's very hard to be smarter than your dumbest competitor. Number 99. A hyperactive stock market is the pickpocket of enterprise. Number 100. Valuing a business is part art and part science. Number 101. Chains of habits are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. One of Buffett's investment philosophy succinctly. This quote is below. We select such investments on a long-term basis, weighing the same factors as would be involved in the purchase of 100% of an operating business. 1. Favorable long-term economic characteristics. 2. Competent and honest management. 3. Purchase price attractive when measured against the yardstick of value to a private owner, and 4. An industry with which we are familiar and whose long-term business characteristics we feel competent to judge. That's it. That's the basic secret formula to Warren Buffett's $75 billion fortune. The Buffett quote categories are listed below. Long-term investing. Do-nothing investing. Circle of competence. Great businesses and competitive advantages. When to buy. When to sell. Risk and leverage. Personal finance and life tips. Charity and legacy. History and forecasting. Bull markets and crowd thinking. Investing tips. Management. Final thoughts. 11 long-term investing quotes from Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is a long-term investor. 3 of his longest holdings are shown below. American Express, AXP, first purchase in 1964. Coca-Cola, KO, first purchase in 1988. Wells Fargo, WFC, first purchase in 1989. I never attempt to make money on the stock market. I buy on the assumption that they could close the market the next day and not reopen it for 5 years. This quote shows Warren Buffett thinks in investing time frames of at least 5 years. But his holding period is preferably much longer. Only buy something that you'd be perfectly happy to hold if the market shut down for 10 years. And if you aren't willing to own a stock for 10 years, don't even think about owning it for 10 minutes. Do-nothing investing. Warren Buffett's partner Charlie Munger has coined a new word for their ability to not act on every investment that comes by: assiduity. Assiduity is the ability to sit on your ass and do nothing until a great opportunity presents itself. Charlie Munger. Warren Buffett and the Circle of Competence. You don't have to be an expert on every stock to find great businesses trading at fair or better prices. The less complicated an investment is, the less room for error in your analysis. Similarly, sticking to investing in businesses you understand well is critical to minimizing investing mistakes. Warren Buffett calls sticking with what you know staying in your circle of competence. What an investor needs is the ability to correctly evaluate selected businesses. Note that word selected, you don't have to be an expert on every company, or even many. You only have to be able to evaluate companies within your circle of competence. The size of that circle is not very important, knowing its boundaries, however, is vital. 8 quotes from Warren Buffett on when to buy. Warren Buffett's buying wisdom can be condensed into 2 statements. 1. Buy great businesses when they are trading at fair or better prices. 2. This occurs when short-term traders become pessimistic. The 8 quotes below clarify Warren Buffett's thinking on when to buy great businesses. Long ago, Ben Graham taught me that price is what you pay, value is what you get. Whether we're talking about socks or stocks, I like buying quality merchandise when it is marked down. In the quote above, Buffett explains that he acquired his value-focused mindset from his mentor Benjamin Graham. Graham was the father of value investing and a fantastic investor in his own right. It makes sense that his philosophies significantly influence Warren Buffett. There is a stark difference in investing style between Graham and Buffett. Graham focused on deep value plays, businesses that were trading below liquidation value. These were typically poor businesses that were undervalued because they had such bad future prospects. Buffett focuses on great businesses trading at fair or better prices, as the quote below clarifies. It's far better to buy a wonderful company at a fair price than a fair company at a wonderful price. Wonderful companies compound your wealth year after year. Poor quality businesses that are exceptionally cheap only grow your wealth once, when you sell them, hopefully for a profit. Note that Buffett does not say to buy great businesses at any price. For the investor, a too high purchase price for the stock of an excellent company can undo the effects of a subsequent decade of favorable business developments. Overpaying severely limits the growth of your wealth. If you pay for a large part of future growth today, you will not benefit from that growth down the line. Great businesses can be very overvalued. Most people get interested in stocks when everyone else is. The time to get interested is when no one else is. You can't buy what is popular and do well. You don't need to be a contrarian to do well in investing, but you do need to exhibit emotional control and be realistic. Just as great businesses can be overvalued, they can also be undervalued. The best thing that happens to us is when a great company gets into temporary trouble. We want to buy them when they're on the operating table. It's not easy to buy great businesses when they are on the operating table. That's because the zeitgeist is decidedly against buying. Stocks become undervalued because the general consensus is negative. Intelligent investors profit from irrational fears. Be fearful when others are greedy and greedy only when others are fearful. Fear and market corrections create opportunities for more patient, long-term investors. The 2 quotes below expand upon this. So smile when you read a headline that says investors lose as market falls. Edit it in your mind to disinvestors lose as market falls, but investors gain. Though writers often forget this truism, there is a buyer for every seller and what hurts one necessarily helps the other. And the most common cause of low prices is pessimism, sometimes pervasive, sometimes specific to a company or industry. We want to do business in such an environment, not because we like pessimism but because we like the prices it produces. It's optimism that is the enemy of the rational buyer. Paying too high a price is an investing risk that can be avoided, for the most part, by staying disciplined. Buying is only half of investing. The next section covers when to sell. Buffett on risk and leverage. Modern portfolio theory argues that stock price volatility is a proxy for risk. Wide diversification is preferred over concentrated investing. Buffett has invested in a far more concentrated manner. Here's where Buffett says risk comes from. Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. Buffett places an emphasis on knowing what he is doing by staying in his circle of competence. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1. In fact, he prefers minimal risk to higher risk and potentially higher profits. When forced to choose, I will not trade even a night's sleep for the chance of extra profits. Rather than invest broadly in businesses he is less confident in, Buffett runs a focused portfolio invested in his highest conviction ideas, as the two quotes below show. Keep all your eggs in one basket, but watch that basket closely. And diversification is a protection against ignorance. It makes very little sense for those who know what they're doing. Buffett does not use diversification to mitigate risk. Instead, he reduces risk by examining businesses closely and understanding their competitive advantage. We believe that a policy of portfolio concentration may well decrease risk if it raises, as it should, both the intensity with which an investor thinks about a business and the comfort level he must feel with its economic characteristics before buying into it. In stating this opinion, we define risk, using dictionary terms, as the possibility of loss or injury. A rising tide lifts all boats. In bull markets, investors who take on more risk by using leverage will look like geniuses. When sentiment changes and a recession occurs, these leveraged portfolios will not look so smart. It's only when the tide goes out that you learn who has been swimming naked. Warren Buffett does use some leverage in his investing, but he only uses non-callable, ultra-low interest leverage. He also does not leverage himself excessively. More of Buffett's thoughts on leverage are in the two quotes below. When you combine ignorance and leverage, you get some pretty interesting results. And I've seen more people fail because of liquor and leverage being borrowed money. You really don't need leverage in this world much. If you're smart, you're going to make a lot of money without borrowing. Avoiding excess leverage and being cautious with your investments takes willpower and maturity. The next section covers Warren Buffett's tips for life and personal finance. History and forecasting. The financial industry produces a great deal of forecasts. Economists and financial analysts make a plethora of guesses about company growth rates, country growth rates, margins, and much more. Warren Buffett does not believe these forecasts are particularly valuable. We've long felt that the only value of stock forecasters is to make fortune tellers look good. Even now, Charlie and I continue to believe that short-term market forecasts are poison and should be kept locked up in a safe place, away from children and also from grown-ups who behave in the market like children. Instead of guessing at future growth rates, Buffett looks for great businesses that are trading at fair or better prices now. In the 54 years Charlie Munger and I have worked together, we have never foregone an attractive purchase because of the macro or political environment, or the views of other people. In fact, these subjects never come up when we make decisions. Forecasts do have some value, however. They tell you what the forecaster is thinking. Forecasts may tell you a great deal about the forecaster, they tell you nothing about the future. Investing success comes from a mix of understanding history and understanding the current competitive position of businesses. Wise investors learn from their own past mistakes, and those of others. The best thing is to learn from other guys' mistakes. General George S. Patton used to say, "It's an honor to die for your country, make sure the other guy gets the honor." There are a lot of mistakes that I've repeated. The biggest one, the biggest category over time, is being reluctant to pay up a little for a business that I knew was really outstanding. The history of a business will tell you more about that business than guesses about the future, forecasts. In the business world, the rearview mirror is always clearer than the windshield. Unfortunately, few investors, and people in general, learn from their own mistakes or mistakes made throughout history. What we learn from history is that people don't learn from history. A detailed analysis of a business history is not all you need for successful investing. You must also understand valuation and the current competitive advantage of a business. You can put too great an emphasis on history. If past history was all that is needed to play the game of money, the richest people would be librarians. This is especially true of highly specific, not broad-based, quantitative models that rely on a great many assumptions to work. Investing should not be overly complicated. The more assumptions you make, the more likely you are to be wrong. Investors should be skeptical of history-based models, constructed by a nerdy-sounding priesthood using esoteric terms such as beta, gamma, sigma and the like. These models tend to look impressive. Too often, though, investors forget to examine the assumptions behind the models. Beware of geek-sparing formulas. The realization that few people learn from history is best exemplified by investor irrational exuberance during the height of bull markets and investing manias. Warren Buffett quotes on bull markets and crowd thinking. When you think about stock market investors, what comes to mind? Do you picture an army of Ivy League-educated MBAs making detailed and rational decisions about what to invest in? There are a lot of extremely intelligent people in the investing industry. But markets as a whole are prone to irrationality. People are greedy and fearful. When easy money is around, bull markets, greed pushes people to take greater risks than they otherwise would. You need to divorce your mind from the crowd. The herd mentality causes all these IQs to become paralyzed. I don't think investors are now acting more intelligently, despite the intelligence. Smart doesn't always equal rational. To be a successful investor, you must divorce yourself from the fears and greed of the people around you, although it is almost impossible. And nothing sedates rationality like large doses of effortless money. Bull markets make mediocre investors think and believe they are investing geniuses because of the gains they see in their investment account. In a bull market, one must avoid the error of the preening duck that quacks boastfully after a torrential rainstorm, thinking that its paddling skills have caused it to rise in the world. A right-thinking duck would instead compare its position after the downpour to that of the other ducks on the pond. You have to do things differently to avoid taking too much risk during market manias. Misery loves company. No one gets blamed for failing when everyone else is. Failing conventionally is the route to go. As a group, lemmings may have a rotten image, but no individual lemming has ever received bad press. Bubbles typically start with a good reason. Those who get in early do well. It's the individual investor who is the last to catch on that ends up holding the bag. What the wise do in the beginning, fools do in the end. All bubbles burst, eventually. When they do, investors relearn the same lessons over again. But a pin lies in wait for every bubble. And when the two eventually meet, a new wave of investors learns some very old lessons. First, many in Wall Street, a community in which quality control is not prized, will sell investors anything they will buy. Second, speculation is most dangerous when it looks easiest. Being able to maintain an even keel and not overreact to optimism or pessimism is critical for investing success. The most important quality for an investor is temperament, not intellect. You need a temperament that neither derives great pleasure from being with the crowd or against the crowd. Sober judgment is a commodity in a world of emotional investors. You're dealing with a lot of silly people in the marketplace. It's like a great big casino and everyone else is boozing. If you can stick with Pepsi, you should be okay. Does this mean you should always do what is opposite of the consensus? No, you should act irrespective of the consensus. Sometimes the crowd will agree with you, sometimes it doesn't. You should be equally comfortable with either situation. In some corner of the world they are probably still holding regular meetings of the Flat Earth Society. We derive no comfort because important people, vocal people, or great numbers of people agree with us. Nor do we derive comfort if they don't. Controlling behavior is a much larger part of investing success than many investors first realize. The 7 tips below from Warren Buffett give us deeper insight into how to think about investing. Final thoughts. Warren Buffett is arguably the greatest investor of all time. Warren Buffett. To give you deeper insight into the thought processes of Buffett. Warren Buffett's quotes show that he looks for 1. Businesses with strong competitive advantages. 2. Trading at fair or better prices. 3. with shareholder-friendly managements. 4. That can be held for the long run.
"70 years ago, I was in high school, almost a third as long as the country has been around. And when I was in high school, I really only had two things on my mind: girls and cars." and I wasn't doing very well with girls, so we'll talk about cars. But let's just imagine that when we finish, I'm going to let each one of you pick out the car of your choice. Sounds good, doesn't it? Pick it out, any color, you name it. It'll be tied up with a bow, and it'll be at your house tomorrow. And you say, well, what's the catch? And the catch is that it's the only car you're going to get in your lifetime. Now, what are you going to do knowing that that's the only car you're ever going to have and you love that car? You're going to take care of it like you cannot believe. Now, what I'd like to suggest, you're not going to get only one car in your lifetime, but you're going to get one body and one mind, and that's all you're going to get. And that body and mind feels terrific now, but it has to last you a lifetime. The most important thing is to be able to define which ones you can come to an intelligent decision on and which ones are beyond your capacity to evaluate. You don't have to be right about thousands and thousands and thousands of companies. You only have to be right about a couple. I met Bill Gates on July 5th, 1991. We were out in Seattle, and Bill said, "You've got to have a computer." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Well," he said, "you can do your income tax on it." I said, "I don't have any income. Berkshire doesn't pay a dividend." He said, "Well, you can keep track of your portfolio." And I said, "I only have one stock." I said, and he says, "It's going to change everything." And I said, "Well, will it change whether people chew gum?" And he said, "Well, probably not." And I said, "Well, will it change what kind of gum they chew?" And not. And I said, "Well, then I'll stick to chewing gum and you stick to computers, you know." I don't have to understand all kinds of business. There's all kinds of business I don't understand. But there's thousands of opportunities there. I did understand the Bank of America, you know, and I'll be able. I'm able to do that. I'm able to understand some given percentage. But Ted Williams wrote a book called The Science of Hitting, and in The Science of Hitting, he's got a diagram, shows him at the plate, and he's got the strike zone divided into 77 squares, each the size of a baseball. And he says, if I only swing at pitches in my sweet zone, which he shows there, and he has what his batting average would be, which is 400. If he had to swing at low outside pitches, but still in the strike zone, his average would be 230. He said the most important thing in hitting is waiting for the right pitch. Now, he was at a disadvantage because if the count was 0-2 or 1-2 or so on, even if that ball was down where he was only going to bat 230, he had to swing at it. In investing, there's no called strikes. People can throw Microsoft at me and, you know, you name it, any stock, General Motors, and I don't have to swing. And nobody's going to call me out on called strikes. I only get a strike called if I swing at a pitch and miss. So I can wait there and look at thousands of companies day after day, and only when I see something I understand and when I like the price at which it's selling, then if I swing, if I hit it, fine. If I miss it, it's a strike. But it's an enormously advantageous game. And it's a terrible mistake to think you have to have an opinion on everything. You only have to have an opinion on a few things. In fact, I've told students, if when they got out of school, they got a punch card with 20 punches on it, and that's all the investment decisions they got to make in their entire life, they would get very rich because they would think very hard about each one. And you don't need 20 right decisions to get very rich. You know, 4 or 5 will probably do it over time. So I don't worry too much about the things I don't understand. If you understand some of these businesses that are coming along and can spot things on, if you can spot on Amazon, for example, I mean, it's a tremendous accomplishment what Jeff Bezos has done. And I tip my hat to him. He's a wonderful businessman. He's a good guy, too. But could I have anticipated that he would be the success and 10 others wouldn't be? I'm not good enough to do that. But fortunately, I don't have to. You know, I don't have to form an opinion on Amazon. And I did form an opinion on the Bank of America, and I've formed an opinion on Coca-Cola. I mean, Coca-Cola's been around since 1886. There's 1.8 billion 8-ounce servings of Coca-Cola products sold every day. Now, if you take 1 penny and get 1 penny extra, that's $18 million a day. And 18 million times 365 is 7 billion, 3 less 730 billion, or $6,570,000,000. So annually, $6,570,000,000 from 1 penny. Do you think Coca-Cola is worth a penny more than, Joe's Cola? I think so. So, and I've got about 127 years of history that would indicate it. So those are the kind of decisions I like to make. And you may have an entirely different field of expertise than I would have, and probably much more up to date in terms of the kind of businesses that we're seeing evolve. And you can get very rich if you just understand a few of them and understand their future.
What is it that you two share? What makes this friendship so satisfying for both of you?
Well, I think we both certainly share a curiosity about the world, and we come from 2 different but related worlds. So I think we probably spent about 10 hours of this 1-hour visit that Bill was scheduled on July 5th, 1991. His mother had to talk him into it. And we weren't halfway. I mean, we'd gotten no place in terms of our eventual agenda just in that time. In fact, the governor of Washington came by, and Bill's dad had to come into the bedroom and pull us out of it. We didn't want to. He was a little embarrassed we were talking to him. Well, we have fun to start with. Right. I mean, every relationship should have a lot of fun in it. And we find the world in just such an interesting place. So we like to compare notes on it. When we compare notes, we have a lot of fun doing it.
Part of the time, as I remember the conversation, by the way, there's a remarkable documentary about Warren, which is on HBO. I think it premieres on January 30th, on Monday. Yeah. You should take time to take a look at it. Bill's involved in that, and you will see, in a sense, it's called, I think, Becoming Warren Buffett.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Becoming. Took me 86 years, but I got
there. You're doing well on it, though, aren't you?
Well, so far, yeah. But best is yet to come.
And one of the things that happened tonight, Bill, was that I guess your dad at the dinner said, what's been the most important quality for you? And you found out that you and Warren had the same word.
Yeah, I think curiosity, which Warren mentioned, is an amazing thing where you try and predict what's going to happen, and then when it doesn't, you sort of think, well, that drug didn't get invented, that stock didn't go up, that approach wasn't popular. What is it about my model of the world that's wrong? Who could I talk to? What could I read? And the things that have happened since 1991, mostly good things, have been amazing and just so much fun to talk about. We read the news and we think, God, what did Warren think about that?
You both are readers. You read all the time, all day, Warren. Bill, you're a reader. You also do a lot of sort of courses online as well. I mean, what has that done? What has that done for your life? The sense of constantly learning.
Well, go ahead, Bill.
It's an incredible time to be a learner. I remember when I was young, I had the World Book, which is one of Warren's products, and it was very good. But I always felt like, God, I want to get into this in more depth. I want to understand it better. Today, the videos that are online and the courses that you can buy with the very best professors, it's phenomenal. Take a subject like weather or climate change, or what's going on in economics, what's known, what's not known. Now with the foundation, a lot of what I need to learn is about biology, making vaccines and what's going on with these various diseases. This is a phenomenal time to be a curious person. The information that's out there, you know, I have my biggest problem is that I stay up too late because I'm reading and then I'm a little bit tired the next day.
The other thing that you share other than reading is optimism. You believe in America.
Absolutely.
You have said to me more than once, I would give up a year of my life just to know what the next 50 is going to be like.
Yeah, even the next 4 now. I mean,
why'd you pick 4?
I don't know, it's a number that came to me. It is just fascinating what's happened just in my lifetime. You know, in the 86 years. I should mention one thing about reading. It was at the library here at Columbia that I wish I spent probably more time than any other student. I lived there practically, but you know, I pulled the book out there. Happened to be Who's Who in America, and it told me something about my professor Benjamin Graham. And then I looked up and I went to the library and I said, I want to learn more about this because I learned this over here. That changed my whole life. You know, we own Geico now because of that librarian directing me to some other book and then following through on that. It's the chance. I read about 1/5 the pace that Bill does, but I still spend 5 or 6 hours a day reading. I mean, it just, you can learn so much. I particularly love biography. Just you know, to be able to live the lives of these people that have been so extraordinary, the lessons and the, you know, the discouragements they face, just everything about it. So you can't get enough of reading.
What surprises you most about Bill?
That's an interesting question. I guess what really surprised me is initially we just found so many things to connect on. He did try to sell me a computer. That's probably the only sale he didn't make, although the computer changed my life for the better in a big way subsequently. But, well, he just had this same curiosity.
Yeah. And the other word you have used is focus.
Well, the focus is no question about it. I mean, both of us got to where we are in a big way because of focus.
Bill, what surprises you about Warren?
I was so amazed that he comes to investing with this broad model of the world. So one of the first questions he asked me was, hey, Microsoft's a small company, IBM's this huge company. Why can you do better? Why can't they beat you at the software game that you're playing? And I always, you know, every day I was thinking about, okay, what advantage do we have? What do we do? But nobody ever asked me that question. And we talked about the economics of software, which is a very different and special thing. And he could relate it to things that he'd seen. And I didn't understand banking, why some get ahead and some don't. And so he was able to put that in very clear terms. And so I found somebody whose model was rich enough that it helped me understand things that I really wanted to know. And we could laugh about things that were a surprise to us. I'd say his humility and his sense of humor really stood out in this incredible way. I mean, he enjoys what he does and he shares that with other people. And even, when I ask questions that are pretty naive, that he's probably been asked 50 times, he's very nice about, well, it took me a long time to figure this out, Bill, but here's how it works.
I tried Bill out with some non-transitive dice. And I'd read about him in Scientific American or someplace. And there were only 2 people in the world in the history of these dice that actually figured it out while I was trying to take their money from them. And one was the leading symbolic logician in the world, and the other was a drunk who didn't really know any better and asked the wrong question. But Bill said, wait a second, you choose first, and the game was over.
You taught him, you didn't teach him, but you brought him into a great appreciation of bridge.
Yeah, he'd play bridge, but the family is very big on games. His family was very, very big on games, and so we played bridge together, and we played in China, going down the great rivers when we were supposed to be looking at the scene. We had a good time playing bridge.
All right, we've got a lot of questions we want to talk from the audience. We want to start up in the balcony, so we haven't forgotten you. It's hard to see, but is there a number there that has a question? Okay, start it wherever it is. Yes, number 6.
Thank both of you guys for being here today. My question is in regards to public health and vaccinations. Given our current president's publicly stated stance against the use of vaccinations, both in this country and abroad, how would you recommend that we, as students and future leaders in health sciences, best allocate our resources to most effectively resist his alternative fact political philosophy in regards to domestic and global public health? Thank you.
Well, Bill?
That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Well, the facts about vaccines are very clear and very strong, which is both that they're safe and that the vaccine schedule has been designed to reduce disease. And the more parents that adhere to it, the more not only their children be protected, but you have some kids who are immune deficient. And so unless the kids around them are protected, then it puts those kids at risk. And there are diseases like measles or pertussis that all it takes is a small cluster, and then mostly those diseases would be coming in from overseas, but you can get infection, and in some European countries you've had deaths because the kids weren't vaccinated. I don't think the U.S. government is going to come out with any negative statements. There may be a commission, and fortunately, if you look at the facts are quite unequivocal. We certainly are speaking out in favor of vaccines. So I'm a little surprised that we have to stick up for them, but it's true in every country that you get these rumors, and particularly in today's media, those rumors can get out and ahead of the facts because the rumors are sort of more salacious or, contrary to what you've been told type things. Here, I'm sure we'll have a chance, if necessary, to go through the facts again and get a clear positive message from the government.
And the risk is, if vaccines somehow, people are scared of having vaccines, the risk is?
Well, we're engaged right now in polio eradication. And the only way that succeeds is to get 95% of the kids to have these vaccines. And there we ran into a form of anti-vaccine sentiment that's even worse than U.S. rumors, and that is that two terrorist groups, one in Nigeria, Boko Haram, and another one in Pakistan, Afghanistan, the Taliban, said that vaccination was a U.S. plot and would sterilize women, and it was a very bad thing. And they took the women who were going out to the children's houses and giving these oral drops, oral polio vaccine, and actually killed a number of them. And so those negative rumors, the only reason we still have polio today, that we're not done, is because of that part of Nigeria that Boko Haram has caused unrest, and the border areas, including Baluchistan in Pakistan, where there have been these anti-vaccine sentiments. So, our risk is simply those negative things. So it's not just in rich countries that we run into this. It absolutely causes deaths if parents don't know. Bring your kids in and get them fully vaccinated.
And your drive to eradicate polio is to show that you can do it.
Well, it started in 1988 when it already had been eradicated in the Americas. So these were the U.S. in the 60s, the rest of the Americas in the 70s, showed that it could be done. And so in 1988, well before our foundation was involved, Rotary and a number of other organizations said, let's get rid of this. And it's been harder than was expected just because of these sentiments. Here we are in 2017, last year, less than 50 cases. So we are very, very close. In fact, there's so few cases now, the way that we track where the virus is we go and look at sewage samples, and we see, because a lot of kids get infected and pass it along without getting paralyzed. And so it's only through these sewage samples we know that there's still about 4 places in Pakistan and Afghanistan and 1 place in Nigeria that we haven't gotten there yet.
All right, let's see. The next question. I got to see a card. Number 1.
Thank you both so much for being here. My question, again, is a little bit on the political spectrum. I was wondering what you're both most hopeful about in this new political environment we have, and also what you're both most worried about.
You want to take hope or worried, Warren?
Well, I'm confident that America will move ahead. It's been, from the time I was born until now, the real GDP per capita of this country has gone up 6 for 1. I mean, nobody ever dreamt that would be possible. And when you look at what's happened in this country over 240 years, you know, it's an absolute miracle. When I went to Columbia Business School in September 1950, one woman in the class. I mean, this country moves forward, and you can't stop it. So I'm enormously optimistic. I say the luckiest person born in the history of the world is the baby being born today in this country. And we will go and, you know, everybody, half the country always is going to be somewhat unhappy, or close to half, about the last election. But I grew up in a household in the late 1930s. My dad was very Republican. My sisters and I didn't get dessert unless we said something bad about Roosevelt. I mean, it was it was required. And I heard all these apocalyptic views about after his third term there'll be no more elections. I've been hearing that all my life, and you know, year after year after year, with occasional hiccups and an occasional seizure like we had in 2008 and 9. But this country, it's all profit, folks. I mean, you know, when I came in, just think of what it would have been like in 76, nothing here. Yeah. And now we've got...
And the velocity of change
it just keeps moving.
Day.
I mean, guys like Bill, you know, they don't quit. Yeah. You know, I mean, he moves on to something like polio. He mentions 50 cases in the world. There were more than 50 in the ward where I went when I was a teenager to see a friend of my sister's. And they were all in these rocking machines and everything. They were destined to a terrible, terrible life. And it was just one ward in Omaha. And now that's the yearly total, thanks initially to, as well as currently, to Rotary and some, but people kept working on it. This world moves forward, and it's been doing, I bought my first stock when I was 11 in April of 1942. The Dow was 100. If you haven't looked, it's 20,000. Something good must have happened in between. And it's going to keep happening, folks.
Bill, I know you share the optimism. What about concerns?
Well, the optimism is partly that I think American innovation is strong. Support for research is by and large bipartisan. And so whether it's health breakthroughs or even energy breakthroughs, I think, every year that goes by, we're going to have more of those things. Now, this administration is new enough. We don't know how their budget priorities will come out. There are things like foreign aid, which is a small part of the budget, about $30 billion a year, but that means the U.S. is the biggest, that every time there's new leadership, we have to go in and articulate the benefits. It's well spent. It's not the image that people have in the past. And so right now, I think there's a lot of intensity to make sure we get that message out and get, both in terms of the executive branch and the Congress, to maintain amazing things like the President's Malaria Initiative or PEPFAR, which is an HIV thing. These things started under President Bush, and so our foundation's had a great working relationship with Democratic and Republican administrations. Most people wouldn't realize that U.S. foreign aid as a percentage of the economy, which is generally how it's measured, reached its low point in 1999 under the Clinton administration. Now, I'm not saying it was the administration. It was a mix of the administration and the Congress. Then, during those Bush years, it went up fairly substantially. Now, the economy helped with that, but these initiatives were really amazing. And, I'm hopeful that maintaining or even growing these initiatives will be a priority when there's a lot of talk about tax cuts and different spending activities. And so it is a bit up in the air during these months ahead.
And you've often made the point that no matter how big the private contributions are, sometimes in terms of sheer scale, you need a government.
Yeah, somebody asked me today, if PEPFAR, which is this AIDS program, was canceled, wouldn't private philanthropy make up for it? Well, PEPFAR is over $5 billion a year. That is this one aid program, which is a phenomenal thing that's saved over 10 million lives. That's larger than our foundation, which is the largest in the world. So there's no possibility the government sector, U.S., U.K., other European donors, that's $130 billion a year in total that's uplifting these poor countries in health and education. And if we lose the consensus around that, if people draw inward too much, we will hurt progress, and there will be millions of lives lost because of it.
And one thing that might be mentioned, Charlie, is that the difference between now and 60 or 70 years ago in the ability of really bright people, really innovative, really energetic people to get finance to do things is just dramatically better than it was at that time. So now, if you've got good ideas, and there's good ideas right in this crowd, and you've got energy, it's far easier to get finance to move forward those ideas than you could 50 or 60 years ago.
Is that because of the internet or crowdsourcing? Of what is it?
It's just lots more capital around and people more optimistic about. People are very optimistic about business.
But better ways to connect the two, the capital and those and the ideas.
It's dramatic. It's dramatic.
And the willingness to take risk. The first venture capital stuff is in the 1960s, and it's tiny. Microsoft, when we were taking outside investment, we took at a valuation of $20 million, we took $1 million for 5% of the company.
I'll do it retroactively, folks.
You had your chance. You had your chance.
We never spent the money. That is, our business was profitable enough. We really didn't need to do that, but we wanted people on our board to give us advice. And there's an episode of Silicon Valley where all these venture capitalists are courting this guy. And that really reminded me of what it was like. By that time, which was 1984, there were dozens of venture capitalists. And that's something that other countries have tried to duplicate. They have in small part, but not nearly as well. This willingness to take risks, the idea that if you have a failure, it's not a mark of shame, that, hey, what's your next startup going to be?
You heard his secret, folks. He gets his ideas from Silicon Valley. Be sure.
All right. Cards. Let's see where the cards are, folks. Okay, number 3. Take the card right there.
So you started this talk about how you'd able to make a model and it won't accurately predict what happens. And on the other side of the coin, I was wondering what happens when you create such well-developed predictive technology, and what are the ramifications and implications of that outcome?
Well, I don't think our predictive technology, is going to be like an oracle. Warren's nickname is the Oracle of Omaha. But the percentage of times you can predict things like macroeconomics, because they involve emotional sentiment. We're a long ways away from that. The biggest modeling thing I'm involved in is a group that models diseases. So we look at HIV or tuberculosis and understand, okay, what do we have to do in terms of diagnosis and drugs to get these things down? Once we finish polio, we'll go on, and our next big challenge, which will take decades, but I expect will be done in my lifetime, is malaria eradication. So these models aren't nearly at the point where they can take human sentiment into consideration. The field of economics, a very basic question about what we should have done differently before the financial crisis, there really is no consensus, whether it's with the public or inside the profession of economists. They agree that some of the emergency treatment we did was necessary and important, and I wish that was better understood. But in terms of the root causes, it's actually a little disconcerting how little our models or understanding explain how that imbalance got so extreme.
All right, well, number 2.
Hi, my name is Eugenia. I'm in the engineering school here at Columbia. And I wanted to ask, you were talking about that you love reading. I wanted to ask if you have a particular book that it changed your life, like the way you think about things. And I also wanted to ask, what is the thing that you admire the most about each other? Like you, Bill, about Warren, and the other way around. Thank you.
They sort of touched on the second question, but go ahead, they may want to add to it. Books, though, first. Changed your life.
Well, a book did change my life, and it was by a fellow who taught here at Columbia, Benjamin Graham, and I read the book when I was 19 called The Intelligent Investor. And I'd been interested in investments since I was maybe 7 or 8, but I'd never... And I'd read every book in the Omaha Public Library by the time I was 11.
So why do you think you were interested in investing when you were 7 or 8?
Because I was too dumb to get interested at 4. my dad had a very small investment firm, and I would just go down. I read all the books that he had there, waiting to go to lunch or whatever it might be, and then I went to the public library and read them all, and it just was a fascinating subject to me. But I didn't have any. I knew what everybody thought and all of that at an early age, but what Graham wrote made sense. I just happened to pick that book up at a bookstore in Lincoln, Nebraska.
But to investing per se, is there something about your core competence that made investing the perfect place for you to be?
Yeah, it certainly wasn't to be a pro football player. I looked. It was a question of zeroing out all the other incompetencies, and I was left with one thing,
Just the allocation of capital.
I was actually wired in a way that was. This would be something I would be good at.
So wired in what way?
I can't tell you precisely, but I've got the right temperament for it, which is much more important than IQ. If you've got more than 120 points of IQ, sell the rest to somebody else. You don't need it in investments, but you do need the right temperament. You do. You do have to be able to think for yourself. And getting back to, the earlier question, the first question I ask myself when I look at a business is, is it important and easy what I can determine about this business? Yeah. And a lot of them don't make it. Now, Bill is looking for hard questions that plague society, and where intellect and money may make a difference. They may not for a while, but he's taking on the tough things. My job is to find easy things. I'm looking for 1 foot bars to step over, rather than 8 foot bars to jump over, But that's not irrational if you're looking at the investment universe. But reading is key. On the biography, on the book thing, I will tell you a wonderful book to read. I can tell you a number of them. Intelligent Investor, obviously, if you're in the investment field, but Katharine Graham's autobiography is a marvelous book, and it's absolutely honest, told by an incredible woman who had an incredible life and then wrote honestly about it.
And someone who you knew very well and invested with, and she was a bit reluctant and had to be assured, that
she was afraid of me, actually.
Yes. But what makes that book so much?
It is such a broad range of human experience, honestly told. I mean, you couldn't have nobody in Hollywood could write a scenario that she lived through, and just to see that world develop, how she reacted to it and everything. You can learn so much. My partner Charlie Munger just loves Ben Franklin. You can learn from other people and their mistakes, and I find biography is my favorite.
Part of the reason you love biographies.
Pardon me?
Part of the reason you love biographies.
Yeah.
Okay. Where is a card? Right here. Just come here. I'm having a hard time seeing the card, so that right here. See where the hands are raised.
Hi, my name is Chisholm. I'm a senior here at the college. I'm also a Gates Millennium Scholar with my family over here. So I'd like to ask, what both of you do involves a lot of risk. And sometimes you have to face the fear of failure with that risk. So I'm asking, how did you overcome that fear, and what steps did you take to do that?
Well, I think I was very lucky that when I was in high school, the computer was brought in there, and I developed a fascination for it and became kind of fanatical about it, so that, I didn't view it as risky. I viewed it as this kind of fun hobby. Even when I went to college, which I didn't finish, but I spent time up in Cambridge, Massachusetts, I wasn't sure that would be my life's work. Now, as the chip came along and made it mainstream, it became very obvious that something dramatic was going to happen. And so my passion, my hobby, and the area I could start this company right at the beginning of the revolution, that coincided in a nice way. And I never felt it was risky. If Microsoft had failed, I didn't have kids or anything. I could go back to school and finish my degree and go get a job somewhere. I was very risk averse in running the company. I always made sure we had enough money in the bank to pay everybody for at least a year if nobody paid us at all. Because this idea, I was hiring people who had kids and families, and they were moving to work there. And here I was, 19, 20 years old, and sort of telling these people I'd be paying their salaries. So I was actually very conservative on a financial point of view. And one of the few arguments I had with Steve Ballmer, who came in and played a phenomenal role in the success of the company, was how many people could he hire? Because I was trying to be so conservative. But I let him go full speed, and it turns out our financial success meant that we never had a conflict about that. But I think it's great to be risk-taking, particularly when you're young, trying out different things, fields that aren't very popular that you might enjoy. But I never got into a position where I was taking, actually in any meaningful sense, I was taking a big risk.
I mean, the risk for you would not to have acted because you felt the train was leaving the station.
Yeah, and it was so clear that, this was going to happen. And this was so much fun. I mean, I was a fanatic. I didn't believe in weekends. I didn't believe in vacation. My mom had to negotiate whether I'd come once a week for dinner.
No matter who the guest was.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. But Warren, you have often said you still tap dance to work.
Absolutely.
Because you can paint with your own colors.
Yeah, I'm as excited about tomorrow in terms of what's going to happen as I was when I started. I was having a lot of fun when I started, but I'm having just as much fun now. And when I was here at Columbia, I had this terrible fear. It was impossible for me to speak in public. I mean, I wasn't able to do it. I actually read an ad in the New York Times. I went down to Midtown, signed up for a course, gave the guy a check, and then stopped payment on the check. I mean, I just petrified. But finally, and actually, after you get through hearing me today, maybe you'll wish I'd stayed afraid of public speaking. But that's another question. When I got out to Omaha, I finally decided I just had to do it. So I gave a guy $100 in cash, and once I parted with $100 in cash, I'd jump off the Grand Canyon to get my money's worth. So, but it changed my life. But I would say this: don't fear failure. Almost everything that's turned out, I got turned down by Harvard. The best thing that ever happened, among other some good things that happened that didn't seem good at the time. Don't worry about. And don't let it eat at you or look back. Just keep going, because you're going to have some things, and forget them. Go forward.
All right, I want to go to the back of the room, right back there, wherever number 3 is.
Hi, my name is Matthew Mann. I'm a first year at Columbia Business School. Both of you had a moment where you went out on your own. And I guess my question would be, if you were to do it all over again, you're in our shoes, what industry would that be in? Where would you start your own business today?
I'd do the same thing. Yeah. I mean, for one thing, I'd be a failure at anything else probably. I mean, I'm not gonna, no, I mean, I had fun when I was in my 20s, my 30s. Now I'm 86 and I'm having fun. And so I advise students, as much as possible, look for the job that you would take if you didn't need a job. I mean, don't sleepwalk through life, and don't say it's all going to be great. I'll do this and I'll do that, and I'm just marking time till I get to be older. That, as I've told people, that's like saving up sex for your old age. I mean, it just is not it is not a good idea. Yeah.
What are you urging them to do?
I'll explain it. Just what I'm talking about. Now, you really want to be doing what you love doing, and you can't necessarily find it on your first job.
Right.
But don't give up before you find it.
Bill, you've had the unique experience, A, because of your curiosity, B, because of your involvement in global health, to see the impact of a lot of other areas, whether it's biomedicine or whether it's a whole range of other things other than computer science. If you were going to drop out of Harvard today, which field would you be most likely attracted to?
Well, I love the hard sciences, and there's some phenomenal things that people will get a chance to be part of. I'd still probably pick computer science, because the work in artificial intelligence today is at a really profound level. Our ability not just to play games, But that is a profound milestone, the AlphaGo work that the DeepMind people at Google were able to achieve. And that kind of technology is in all the leading companies and a lot of the universities. With AI, creation of agents, the ability to read and understand material, it is going to be phenomenal. So anything connected with that, I think, would be an exciting lifetime career. I also think in energy, we have the imperative to have energy that's reliable, cheap, and clean. And no system available today can provide that, whether it's for rich countries or for poor countries. And so the innovations there will be profound. And there's many paths that could provide that solution. Finally, I think biology, it's the most thrilling time. You know, we are going to figure out obesity, cancer, even things that are very hard, like depression, because the mind is even more complicated than other parts of the body. I see this through the lens of the disease of the poor, the infectious disease, where new vaccines, new drugs, we are moving faster than ever. And some of these are platform technologies like DNA vaccines that are going to give us just that one thing will give us lots and lots of solutions. And so working in that space is phenomenal. Now, I say this, to my children, and they may not want to do hard sciences. The one who's picked wants to counsel patients and be a doctor, and even more than the science piece, that relationship with patients is what grabs her. So everybody has their own taste, but in terms of big impact, those 3 hard science problems would be at the top for me.
All right, next, right here, right next to number 1.
Hello, thank you guys for being here. Also, thank you to Mr. Gates. I am also a Gates Scholar, and without your foundation, I wouldn't be here. Many industrial-based communities have been severely affected with higher levels of unemployment due to the increasing utilization of automation, which ends up displacing workers. What do you believe is a possible solution to unemployment arising from automation?
It's a good question. Because there's a lot of talk about globalization and all of that, and a lot of other people step forward and talk about how technology and the impact technology is having on jobs and the demand for new kinds of skills.
Yeah, we were here in 1800 and conducting this, and somebody would point out that eventually tractors would come along and better fertilizer and everything, and that 80% of the people are now employed on the farm, and in a couple of hundred years it's going to be 2 or 3%. And what are we going to do with all these people? Well, the answer is we release them. Keynes wrote something about it in something called Essays on Persuasion. He wrote in 1930 about what a more prosperous society would become like. And he actually postulated that in 100 years, and we're now 87 years away from that there would be 4 to 8 times as much output per capita. And he's remarkable, but he didn't quite get out, might get distributed. But the idea of more output per capita, which is what the progress is made on productivity, that should be harmful to society is crazy. I mean, the distribution may be a problem, but if one person could push a button and turn out everything we turn out now, is that good for the world or bad for the world? You'd have to figure out how to distribute it, but you'd free up all kinds of possibilities for everything else. So everything should be devoted initially to getting greater productivity, but people who fall by the wayside through no fault of their own, as the goose lays more golden eggs, should still get a chance to participate in that prosperity, and that's where government comes in.
Right. Bill, anything to add to that?
Yeah, a problem of excess is a different problem than a problem of shortage. If all the tractors and computers stopped working, then we would have problems of shortage there. And we just wouldn't have enough people to make the output. A problem of excess really forces us to look at the individuals affected and take those extra resources and make sure they're directed to them in terms of re-education and incomes policies, and the need for labor in terms of smaller class size, helping handicapped kids, reaching out to the elderly. The demand for labor is not at zero. If you ever get to that point, fine, you can shorten the work week, and you'll be just fine with that. And so this idea of taking an individual who during their generation is affected, I think there's a lot to be learned about that, a lot of thinking we have to do. But the macro picture that it enables is an opportunity.
Number two. Also, I'm urging people at the back so you have a chance. We want to go back up to the balcony as well. I see number 6. We'll come to 6 after 2. Yes.
Hi, my name is Sam. I go to Columbia College, and my question is, what steps do you think need to be taken in order to improve public education, particularly in economically depressed areas of the United States?
Bill was the educational
Yeah.
I think this is a super important issue because the dropout rates, although they've gone down a little bit, they're still very high and vary based on income. And even kids who graduate, a lot of them don't enter college, or they do enter college, and they end up in these remedial courses for their reading or math capabilities. And those people have an extremely high dropout rate from higher education, and they can incur debt, they have a negative experience. So we have a long ways to go in education. There are some very strong points of light, like here in New York City, some of the charter schools are, with even less resources than schools at large, doing a phenomenal job of educating kids. There are a lot of countries, particularly in Asia, who, spending way less of their GDP on education, are doing a great job educating their kids. And it's not just the top 20%. Their bottom 20% is pretty phenomenal in the case of China, South Korea, and Singapore. And so looking at what we've learned in charter schools in terms of building the culture, giving teachers feedback, what is good teaching look like? Do we give teachers a chance to learn from each other about that interactive element that makes the subject seem relevant and important? There are great teachers, but spreading those practices has been very, very tough. And so I'd say it's a top priority, and our foundation has that for our work in the United States. Education is the top priority, whereas outside the U.S., we take on health. It's a tough problem because the institution of education are fairly resistant to change, and people are not yet convinced by various approaches very easily. But we need to keep at it. We're going to, stay and even actually put even more money into trying to help create models.
Okay, up to number 6.
Hi. First, I want to thank Bill. I've witnessed the role of your foundation in eliminating polio in India, and I'm really thankful for that. My question is more on how to set the basic level of debate in any public sense. There are many trade-offs. How to explain climate change policy for people who are losing jobs in the coal sector? How do you balance the current short-term economic goals with the long-term peaceful transition to the renewable sources of energy?
No, it's a good question. The certain topics are so complicated, like climate change, that to really get a broad understanding is a bit difficult, and particularly when people take any of that complexity and try and create uncertainty about it. For example, India's kind of paradigmatic in that they want to electrify for all sorts of good reasons having to do with health and reading at night and quality of life. And the question of should they delay electrification for climate issues is going to be very difficult. The ideal is to innovate in such a way that they can go full speed ahead on electrification without emitting the CO2 that the natural path of them today, which is coal, is the way to go. And so we have a lot of cost reduction to do because rich countries may be able to buy premium electricity. When you get to middle income or lower, that's just not going to happen. And democracy has us allocate these resources in terms of investing in the future and things like research and investing in the present. And when you have a problem like the financial crisis, then you do get a little bit of more of short-term thinking. And I'm hopeful, I think it's better for the world and for the country if we can get back into a little bit more of a focus on the long term.
We have some questions from Facebook. Warren, a central tenet of your investing is to invest for the long term. And this comes from Brian White, who says, how might Bill and Warren convince investors to think beyond short-term returns to encourage world-changing innovation?
Well, I've spent my life trying to convince people on investing for the long term. Listen, if I knew how to double my money tomorrow, I'd probably invest for the short term too. But it's much easier to invest for the long term if you're just talking pure investment, because you know what's going to, in my view, it'd be very high probability what's going to happen 10 and 20 years from now in a major way, and I don't have the faintest idea what's going to happen tomorrow or next week. But if you're talking about societal, it's very tough because politicians face elections either every 2 years or 6 years, and the way particularly congressional districts have been organized, primaries have become more and more important, and so it's very hard to have politicians think of something that's wonderful for the country for 20 years, but will cost them the election 2 years from now. And that's a basic problem in a democracy, and it gets to be more of a problem as we've arranged congressional districts so the primary dominates, because a very limited number of people turn out, and their motive tend to be on the extremes of both parties. So it's not easy.
Whether you're going to make an investment in a company or whether you're going to buy the company, what are the factors that you're looking for? What test?
I'm looking for durable competitive advantage. I'm looking for something that has a moat around it for a considerable period of time. And I'm looking for an honest and able management to run it, because I don't know how to run it myself. And I'm looking for a purchase price that's not excessive. But it's better to pay a little too much for something that's a very good business than it is to buy some bargain, but really a company without much of a future. And I don't know. I don't have a ability to predict with a high probability of success the future of most companies. So I'm looking for the exception. But the nice thing is, if there's thousands of companies out there, I really only have to be right on a couple. I mean, it's exactly the opposite of baseball, where you have called strikes, and the pitcher's trying to throw it to you at the worst part of the strike zone for you. And if he succeeds in getting into that corner 3 times and you don't swing, you're out. And investing, it's a no called strike thing. So I can sit there all day and somebody can throw me one company after another, and finally I get one in my sweet spot.
Both of you have chosen both wives and partners well. Charlie Munger added what to you?
Charlie Munger changed my views. He refined them in a huge way in terms of looking for the quality companies and looking for the ability to make an investment that would work out well for 5 or 10 or 20 years, as opposed to something there might be one, I call it cigar butt investing, where there was one puff left in the cigar, but the cigar was free, so you picked up these disgusting looking things and got one puff out of it and one onto another one. And that worked okay, but it was small scale, and it really doesn't build something satisfying. So he kept forcing me in the direction of saying, is this really a business we want to own for forever? And do we want to get associated? It's like a marriage. I mean, do you want to get associated with this person forever? And it's a great way to look at things.
Bill, your wife, Melinda, has added what?
Well, she's...
Other than 4 children. 3 children.
How much time do I have?
Because she is your partner, and she was there in the philanthropy from day one.
At Microsoft, I had 2 partners who were amazing. I had Paul Allen in the early days, and then Steve Ballmer as the company got bigger. And we would not have achieved anything what we did without those partnerships. Because, when things are tough, when you're making big decisions, having somebody who's really in there with you, committed, for me, I couldn't have done without that. For the foundation, Melinda's an amazing partner. She thinks about the people issues better than I do. She, knows when I get overexcited about the science. She can, make sure we're being realistic about it, and it makes it fun. Last week I went to Europe to World Economic Forum. She went to Nigeria, and then this weekend we just sat and talked about, okay, what did we see? What does that say about the work we should do? And so I don't think I'd enjoy it without a partner, and particularly someone amazing like her.
It's more fun with a partner. I mean, Charlie and I have had more fun working together than either one of us would have had individually, and we have never had an argument after working together for 58 years.
You talk every day?
Not anymore, because we know what the other guy's going to say. We just grunt. We talked it all out 50 years ago.
So if you see Charlie and he says, "Why haven't you called me?" you'd say, "Well, I knew what you'd say anyway."
Absolutely. No, there's no question about it. We still have a lot of fun together.
All right, right there. Well, let's see, number 2.
Hi, my name is Molly Zanger. I'm a student at Barnard College. I guess what I'm basically wondering is what your main considerations are when you're choosing where to donate and what causes to donate to, and what the main challenges are that are associated with that.
Yeah, well, I wholesaled it because I made a choice that I wanted to have. Well, originally, my first wife and I planned that I would pile it up and she would unpile it, but that was plan number 1. But she died in 2004, and then I had the problem of figuring out the best way to distribute what would turn out to be a lot of money, and I wanted some people who had similar values and similar objectives to what I had, but I also wanted people who would pour in intelligence and energy, and in the case of Bill and Melinda, a lot of their own funds, would work at it full time, but who really saw society as I saw it, which was that every life is of equal value. And that if you start with that, and then you figure what you might be good at changing, whether it's in medicine or education or early learning or whatever it may be, that was my answer, was the wholesale. I mean, retail philanthropy would drive me crazy, but wholesale philanthropy I really like.
Bill?
Yeah, for our work at the foundation, the belief in innovation, which both Melinda and I saw at Microsoft, our question was, okay, how do we bring that kind of innovation to help the world's poorest? And we learned that coming up with new vaccines, that although you can pay a lot to have them created, the marginal cost comes down to less than $1. So getting a new vaccine for the main cause of diarrhea or pneumonia, that can be a phenomenal thing. So you're looking for these super nonlinear dramatic things, because as a per poor person or compared to government funding, philanthropy is actually quite small, and yet funding vaccine projects, the government isn't as good as that as a philanthropist who assembles a team and over time is learning how to do that very well. And we had models. Rockefeller Foundation was a phenomenal foundation. The Green Revolution is just one of many things that they did which raised agricultural productivity and avoided hundreds of millions starving. And so studying the other foundations that have taken these big breakthroughs and created a model out of those, that was very informative to what we've gone after.
What's the most important lesson you've learned, though, about making investments from the foundation today that you learned along the way?
Well, I think when we started out, I thought that just coming up with a new vaccine or drug alone would be enough, and that the world would then take that and get it out to all the children of the world. Partly through field visits I did, that Melinda did, looking at the statistics. That delivery system doesn't get out to a lot of the kids. And so having to figure out how people were hired or how that was funded and measured, this what's called primary health care, we were drawn into that out of necessity. It didn't fit the normal sort of in the lab, come up with this great concoction. And yet, in order to achieve our goals, we needed to think about those delivery pieces. In fact, sometimes the state of the product actually had to be simpler in some ways in order to get through that very limited delivery capacity. And now we're getting to 86% of the world's children with vaccines. It was about 70% when we got started. So that's a good increase. We still have 14% to go.
Bill and Melinda have amazing convening and persuasive powers as well. So, I mean, they bring something far more to it than just money. I mean, they work incredibly hard, as do my 3 children and their foundations, but they work incredibly hard at getting governments involved in vaccines or whatever it may take. And that just is, it's an extra dimension that I think very few people have in the field.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hands-on
well,
travel to experience.
When Melinda is in Africa and she's holding a little baby, I mean, she is actually thinking, this kid needs to be vaccinated, has a decent chance in education and all that. I feel the same way about the kid, but what I really think is he going to pee on me? Can I hand him something? So there's just a difference in that human touch that makes a big difference.
I'm halfway in between.
I think he's closer to me, actually.
Number 1, number 3, and number 4. First 1, then 3, then 4.
Hi, I'm Malvika Goswami at the Columbia Business School. If the current government were to ask for your advice on immigration or healthcare reform, what would you recommend to them?
Maureen?
Well, on immigration?
Yes.
Immigration, I mean, this country is built on it. I always say to people that are anti-immigration, let's put it in retroactively. And, everybody leaves. It's this country, if you think about it, Bill's heard this before from me, but we are sitting here in part because of 2 Jewish immigrants who in 1939 in August signed the most important letter perhaps in the history of the United States. And you can go to the internet and go to search Bing. And and just type in Einstein, Roosevelt, 1939. Leo Szilard and Albert Einstein, 2 immigrants, came here. They came directly from Germany. Szilard came from Hungary before that. And they told President Roosevelt that the Germans were likely to develop an atom bomb, which was likely to work. It's less than a full page, and we better get to work on something fast. And that the Manhattan Project came out of that. And if it hadn't been for those 2 immigrants, who knows whether we'd be sitting in this room.
Mm-hmm. Immigration?
I'm going to let him handle
it.
You knew Andy Grove. Just go up and down the line. I mean,
right.
This country
has been
blessed by immigrants, and you can take them from any country you want, and they've come here, and they've found something that unleashed the potential that the place where they left did not, and we're the product of it.
The question also was about healthcare. I mean, what can you tell us about healthcare that you think is important in terms of the consideration of what might happen? I mean, if you were building a healthcare plan for America, what would be the elements that you would want to include?
Well, there's no doubt that in order to provide decent health care, the percentage of GDP devoted to it is going to go up over time. It's already very high, and yes, there's some efficiencies to be gained in that 18% or so number. But as society ages, as we come up with new things like joint replacement, organ transplant, which are going to create lots of human benefits, we're going to have more resources overall, including more government resources for health care. And so it's a tough problem because you have both access problems today and you have cost problems today. And whenever I look at a problem, I have this one simple lens, which is innovation should help here. But in this case, innovation, while it will provide breakthrough drugs that will save costs, like if you can cure Alzheimer's, which we certainly haven't done yet, that will save on huge long-term care costs. So we have these chronic diseases that we've made less progress on than some of the others. And the market mechanism to get pharma to go after those things and the basic research US funds, I am quite optimistic that we'll have some advances. But they'll also give us some very expensive things that will mean we're spending more money against it. And I do hope, that at some point that we really are calling on the best minds to look at the incentives for the breakthroughs, the most efficient system we have here. I think there's a lot of unhappiness in the country now stems from the fact that the healthcare system isn't delivering, and yet people are saying less government, more government.
Right.
I don't think they're being given the depth of education about why it's so tough that over time will help them vote for the right solution.
The depth of explanation. Let me go. I'll go to Facebook in just a moment. But where was I? I promised 3, 4, and 6. 3 is there, and 6 is up there. So go 3, 6, and then we'll go to Facebook.
Hi, my name is Josh Schaefer, and I'm a dental resident at Columbia. My question is, for future doctors and dentists of America, what advice do you have in giving about having a proper balance of providing that health care, but also mastering the concepts of business and economics?
Well, Untold Gawande is, an incredible author.
Exactly.
He, in the current issue of the New Yorker, has the latest in wonderful articles about the healthcare system. And he's talking about the people who do sort of heroic surgery like himself are paid twice as much as the people who are on an ongoing basis in a great incremental way learning about the patient and seeing what works for them. And it's a calling cry to say, hey, that part of the system needs to be run better, needs more resources. So I think it's brilliant that he's saying that, and it also corresponds to what is working in some other countries.
Okay. 6.
Hello, my name is Jen. I'm from Columbia College. So you both have invested a great deal of money abroad, but there is a prevailing belief by some that there are pressing issues in America. There are poor people here, there are sick people here, and we should deal with that first before even tackling anything abroad. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, my own personal thought is that every life is of equal value. And in many ways, if you have a limited number of dollars, you actually can do more for more people outside the United States. We do have greater resources here for our 320 million people than exists around the world for 7+ billion people. So if you can improve the lot of more people by intelligently spending $1 billion or any other number in other areas of the world actually than here. And I get, coming from Omaha and having the money I have, people can say, well, why not spend it all in Omaha? You grew up here in Omaha, it's done all kinds of things for you. And I absolutely acknowledge that. But in the end, if I've got X dollars to spend, I can make life better for more people if I can have it intelligently allocated in other parts of the world actually than the United States. And that draws a fair amount of criticism, but I live with it because that's just what I believe.
All lives have equal value is really the driving force
Absolutely.
behind
I mean,
the foundation.
I'm an accident. I won the ovarian lottery when I was born in the United States in 1930. It was 40-1 against me. I was male. Now it's 80-1 against being a male in the United States in 1930. I was just plain lucky. My life had been far different. Bill always said if I'd been born a long time ago, I'd have been some animal's lunch because I can't run fast and I can't climb trees and everything. And I'd be saying, I allocate capital. It wouldn't work. And, I was lucky. But 79 out of the 80 weren't as lucky as I was at that time. And,
Bill.
Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, in terms of the helping people in other countries, the foreign aid budget of the U.S. is 0.8% of the budget. And there will be, in the years ahead, a discussion about, is that worth doing? It saves lives for typically about $1,000 of life saved. And in terms of stability and countries eventually being self-sufficient and being part of the world economy, there are some huge benefits to that. So if we were talking about should we spend 20 or 30% overseas, okay, that would be a very interesting discussion. But what we're trying to preserve is something that's gotten smarter and smarter all the time, has proven benefits, all of which are things that our foundation co-invests in the same things, like the polio thing is 0.8%. So I'm hopeful that in a big world that can remain a priority.
All right, let me go to another Facebook question. This is from Nadia Akwal. Says, how might Bill and Warren encourage innovation, particularly among teens and young adults? How do you encourage innovation?
Well, I think you have a market system that provides rewards for it.
Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah.
and we have it. I mean, we have an incubator for innovation in the United States. And, you know, Bill can drop out of school. Andy Grove can come from Hungary. And, I mean, it just welcomes it. And thank God. I mean, that's why we have the kind of prosperity that we have. I mean, the question of how it gets divided is a secondary question, and that does not get solved as well by the market system. But our system is just designed for it, and look at what has happened.
All right, number one. So also, I want to make sure we get the people in the back, so we only have 5 minutes left. So there's a couple of hands up in the back, so please recognize it.
Hi, my name is Sahir. I'm a senior in the engineering school. As men of such great influence, I'm curious, and we touched a little bit about this in the last question, but how you deal with reconciling your convictions with maybe what is believed by the public, maybe even a majority, considering that you have the wealth and power and fame to make such great things happen.
Either.
Well, I don't see, you know, the convictions I have, you know, I love sharing them and talking to people and understanding, you know, where people disagree. You know, I can be overly science-centric about things. You know, there's all sorts of causes that are super important that our foundation, because we have limited resources, we don't get to go and do. There's lots of diseases. There's aspects of education. You know, part of the strength of philanthropy is its diversity, and so just by sharing the fact that it's fun, it really can have measurable impact. I hope that sets an example for all of philanthropy. I don't happen to believe that, you know, my voice should be that much louder than other people. You know, and so, you know, some of these big political donations, you know, at least, you know, and I think Warren as well, you know, we've chosen not to have that be a huge way that, you know, we're spending our money. That's a personal choice. You know, the money's being saved for, not for the megaphone, but for the work of the foundation.
Yeah, we get a podium of a certain sort, you know, but people do not. With a partner like Charlie Munger, you don't have to worry about my views being accepted automatically. They point out the shortcomings. And the influence of money in politics, I really think, is bad news for this country. I think Citizens United was a terrible decision. And the idea that somebody can pour millions and millions of dollars into a campaign, and in certain cases it not even be identified, I think really kind of goes counter to the kind of America I believe in.
The two of you created, along with Belinda and others, created the Giving Pledge. How's that going?
Going terrific. Bill can tell you. It really is going terrific.
Yeah, philanthropy is kind of a
Bill,
lonely
tell them
thing.
what it is exactly.
Yeah, okay, this is, you know, we love philanthropy of all types. And part of the strength of American philanthropy is actually people with very little who are incredibly generous. Here, though, we said for the people who are super lucky, have over $1 billion, we want a group who are working together, who are committed to give the majority of their wealth away, to learn from each other. What's worked, what hasn't worked, how do you involve your kids, how do you hire staff, and they'll find areas they're working on together and cooperate, but we're not pulling any money. And we thought we'd get, you know, 20, 25 people together, and in fact now we're at 156. So it is a wonderful yearly event. I've made some great people. I do think that the quantity and quality has gone up because we're getting together. We'll never be able to measure that in a direct way. And we're making special efforts in China and India because now we have a lot of wealth there that wasn't there before. And in their own way, I think by having a strong philanthropic sector, that will help those countries and therefore help the world.
What's interesting now, Bill and I are having dinner actually with the group tonight, for example, but if you go back 100 or 150 years, people got wealthy by making some money from the first oil refinery or steel and mill and building another one, and Henry Ford would build a plant to build cars, and then it would be from retained earnings, which eventually turned into cash. Now you can get rich very young just by having an idea, and you can get that idea monetized and capitalized in a way that you cannot believe. So we are particularly interested in getting younger people interested in philanthropy, because there are huge fortunes by people that are now in their 20s and 30s, and just think of what the potential for that group. And so this thing has worked out way, way better, including getting younger people to join us.
Number 6.
Hello, my name is Christina Nunez. I'm a fellow dental student to Josh. Thank you for speaking with us today. I'm curious about your insight related to relationships. I'm personally, given a desire to honor myself and respect other individuals, have found it difficult throughout life to discern which relationships to really foster and invest in and accept challenges from, and which to kind of forego and abandon because they're more harmful than helpful. So are there any major life lessons that you two have learned through your personal experiences?
Well, it's a very important question, and the more you will move in the direction of the people that you associate with. So it's important to associate with people that are better than yourself, and actually the most important decision many of you make, not all of you, will be the spouse you choose. Right. And you want to associate with people who are the kind of person you'd like to be. You'll move in that direction, and the most important person by far in that respect is your spouse. I can't overemphasize how important that is, and you're right. The friends you have, they will form you as you go through life, and make some good friends, keep them for the rest of your life, but have them be people that you admire as well as like.
Bill, you'd add to that?
Yeah, some friends do bring out the best in you, and so it's good to invest in those friendships. And some friends challenge you about things you're doing, and that level of intimacy is great. I wouldn't say that I was so obsessed with work. I didn't invest, I'd say, in my 20s and 30s as much as I should have. It's really through Melinda and seeing other people I realized, okay, that is it's really worth the investment to have those people, as you're always there to help them, and vice versa.